Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto X Serena Pokemon world. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by simply Slippin, link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. A young boy about 13 years old stood silently in the middle of a peaceful clearing as he tried to figure out what the hell just happened. Directly under him a crystal clear lake rippled slightly in the gentle mid-afternoon breeze, serving to depict a complete contrast of the boy's current mental state. Allowing his eyes to drift downwards that same lake, the first thing the boy saw was his eyes go figure. His eyes were a distinct sky blue color that seemed to be bursting with the unbridled excitement and vivacity that he had long since learned to suppress. The boy's brilliant golden hair was spiky at the top and flatted out too at the top of his neck, falling down to about the end of his neck. Two locks of hair fell down next to his face on both sides and came just short of his shoulder. The boy looked to be about 5 feet in height and wore black shinobi sandals, long, onyx-colored shinobi socks, jet black Anbu-style pants, and a raven black skin-tight long-sleeve shirt, all hidden under an ebony cloak that covered his entire body from the neck down. To finish off the look, he wore a black mask that covered the bottom of his face to his nose. Stored and hidden throughout the boy's clothes was a multitude of scrolls. Inside the scrolls were things like food, weapons, clothing, etc. Empty scrolls could also be found scattered throughout his person. Each scroll had a similar design inside which allowed the sealing of various items. The boy also had 2 swords strapped to his back in an X shape. Both swords were identical katanas that measured about 4 feet in length. They were each masterfully crafted from an exceptional grade of steel that had an appearance of a shiny gray or dark silver. The 2 swords also contained a very slight subtle arc that simply added to their apparent elegance. Like the boy's cloths, they were each held in unreflective sheaths that seemed to absorb any light that dare try to get away. Now we come to one of the less important features about the boy, his name. The boy thought the concept of naming something had no true impact or purpose. To him they were just random letters that formed a word without meaning. Naruto Uzumaki. To him this truly meant nothing. But most would think he was wrong, seeing as other people's view of him changes the instant they learn the formation of those letters. It is amazing how much a name can affect someone. But that was back then, this is now. Naruto studied his surroundings with a calculating gaze as his mind tried to sort out all of his questions. The first thing that he was trying desperately to figure out was where the hell he was. The second thing was why he was surrounded by strange animal-like creatures. The third thing was whether or not he should be worried about the fact that he was surrounded by strange animal-like creatures. Naruto was also trying to discover why the creatures seemed to be able to use a number of elementally based jutsu. These were all questions that hadn't remotely entered his mind this morning. Naruto's day started out so pleasant too. But, like everything in Naruto's life, it spiraled into chaos. Flashback start. When he had got up that morning. Flashback end. This is not the time or place to be reminiscing about my past. Naruto thought to himself. My current priority is to discover where I am, who I'm with is, how I got here, and how the hell I get back. With those thoughts in mind, Naruto launched himself off the water and into the trees in a split second, without even so much as creating an extra ripple in the water's already disturbed surface. Naruto flew through the trees as he eyed the strange creatures cautiously, making sure they weren't making any hostile movements or trailing him. Naruto quickly realized that, though they saw him as he passed by, they either didn't care enough to look up or they took a quick glance in his direction, then went back to their business. I assume that these creatures are peaceful. Then again, appearances are generally used as a tactic to deceive. Naruto mused as he continued to search for any type of hint to his whereabouts. Suddenly Naruto heard a loud cry to his left. He reacted quickly by planting his feet on the nearest tree trunk and gracefully backflipping into a nearby bush without making more than a small unnoticeable rustle. Naruto peered through the bushes to see 2 creatures circling each other in the middle of a small clearing. The clearing was nothing more than fresh grass surrounded by thick oak trees and a few small bushes. It also had a few rocks scattered randomly across the ground. One of the creatures resembled something of a yellow mouse. The creature had red cheeks, a long flat lightning bolt-like tail, and black tips on the end of its ears. It radiated with a courageous chakra. The power feels similar to chakra, but it also feels like it has been altered somehow. Naruto pondered. The other creature looked like a small rhino, but it was made completely out of rock. It looked like the creature didn't even belong in the forest. It might have gotten lost or it could have been searching for food, maybe territory. Either way, the fact that the mouse hadn't run on sight didn't escape Naruto's attention. He felt tempted to laugh outright at the mouse's bold, seemingly suicidal, display of courage. But, the fact that he was trying to remain undetected quickly suppressed the notion. Crying in rage, the rhino charged at the mouse creature, which responded by charging also. But, right before the two collided, the mouse sidestepped the rhino and tackled its legs. The rhino didn't so much as flinch at the mouse's attack. Instead it kicked the mouse into a nearby tree. The mouse flipped in midair and planted its feet on the tree. Using its momentum, the mouse launched itself off the tree and straight at the rhino. The rhino, in turn, charged the flying mouse with its horn posed to strike. But just before collision, the mouse pushed its tail against the ground, shooting itself about 20 feet into the air. The rhino skidded to a halt only a few moments after. It looked up to see the mouse diving straight down at its position. The mouse's tail began to glow a dim white as it descended on the rhino. Once the mouse got within 3 feet of the rhino sidestepped the attack and followed up by ramming its horn into the mouse's side. And, before the disoriented mouse could regain control of its body, the rhino slammed its foot on the ground. This in turn kicked up a variety of rocks and clumps of earth. The rhino then launched the various objects at the flying mouse, who had by now regained its bearings. The mouse desperately tried to defend against the projectiles with every ounce of skill it had. It was painfully obvious that the mouse was horrible at it, but it was also apparent that it had trained itself to defend against the attack. The mouse batted the projectiles away with its tail, but was occasionally forced to use its small arms and legs as well. It also sent small electric bolts to break up some of the bigger objects into smaller pieces. And, after a small while, the mouse reached the edge of the small clearing where it jumped off a nearby tree, propelling itself towards the ground. Once it made contact with the ground, it began to roll towards the rhino at impressive speeds. The rhino, in turn, charged the mouse with its horn positioned to strike. But, right before they made contact, the mouse rolled out of its ball and jumped straight at the rhino's face. The rhino recoiled just enough for the mouse to grab onto its horn. The mouse gripped the rhino's horn tightly and began to charge electricity in its fur. The rhino went crazy. It slammed its horn at everything that was in range. Trees, rocks, thorn bushes, shrubs, etc. The mouse was obviously very beaten up, but it continued to hold on to the rhino's horn until it finally got enough electricity. Realizing the inevitable, the rhino simply shut its eyes to brace itself for the impending attack. The mouse discharged the electricity, resulting in a massive column of light that covered the entire clearing, followed by a powerful shockwave. The column of light dissipated almost as soon as it came, leaving behind a cloud of dust that obscured the battlefield. Naruto watched intently as the dust cleared to reveal both the mouse and the rhino standing in the middle of a crater that nearly filled up the entire clearing. The mouse was breathing very heavily and had a multitude of scrapes and bruises, while the rhino looked like it had taken no damage whatsoever. The mouse looked at the rhino with both shock and disappointment. But before the mouse could sulk any longer, the rhino was upon it using every close-up attack it could. The mouse defended against the attacks as best it could. It sidestepped the rhino's horn and immediately had to roll under the rhino's body to avoid a kick. The mouse then had to continue dodging the rhino's feet as it proceeded to stampede in place. And, once the mouse slid out from under the rhino, it had to backflip away from the incoming horn. Right after that the mouse had to block the rhino's kick with its tail, causing its tail to go limp. The onslaught continued for at least a minute, with the mouse dodging or defending from the relentless rhino. The mouse had just sidestepped another one of the rhino's kicks when it was blindsided by the rhino's horn. The horn sent the mouse spiraling high into the air, where it proceeded to flail about in an attempt to regain its bearings. But, before mouse could react any further, the rhino slammed its foot into the ground much like it had done previously. The rhino quickly began to launch the resulting debris at the mouse with deadly accuracy. The mouse gave a slight cry of agony as most of the projectiles either glanced off its skin or hit it dead on. The mouse couldn't even control its body as it stayed suspended in midair by what looked like a mini asteroid field created by various pocket-based objects. The rhino finally stopped its barrage and allowed the mouse to fall where it hit the ground with a resounding thud. When the mouse showed no signs of movement, the rhino promptly left. Well, that was weird, Naruto thought, preparing to do the same. But something stopped him. The rhino hadn't gotten more than 10 feet away when the same energy Naruto had felt earlier pulsed from the mouse's body. The shockwave that was created by the pulse was clearly visible as a dense light blue mist spread outward from the mouse and engulfed the clearing. The shockwave launched the rhino away from the mouse's body at an impressive pace, straight into an old oak tree. The rhino went straight through the thick tree, creating a huge hole through the trunk of the tree. The rhino then hit a younger tree that was about 20 feet away from the previous tree. But, before the rhino could get out of the dent it created in the trunk, the old oak tree came crashing down onto the younger one, crushing the rhino in between the two trees. Everything went silent as Naruto watched the pile of leaves, splinters, and bark rustle. The rhino slowly walked out of the rubble, looking outraged with many scrapes and chips along its body. The mouse was standing again, though a little shaky. All of the scrapes, bruises, and other battle scars still showed on the mouse's body. Strange, Naruto thought. The creature didn't heal itself, but yet it is again standing. It must just be able to bear the pain better than before. The rhino roared and charged at the mouse like a raging bull. The mouse responded by running to its left, straight towards the forest. The rhino continued to charge as it followed the fleeing mouse. The mouse ran straight at one of the thicker trees, with the rhino only a few feet behind it. When the mouse was only a few feet away from the tree, it jumped onto the tree and used it to backflip back over the rhino's body. The rhino made an attempt to stop itself before it hit the tree by digging the heels of its back feet into the ground, but it was all in vain. The rhino hit the tree head first, but instead of going straight through the tree, its front horn got lodged deep into the tree. While the rhino struggled to remove its horn from the tree, the mouse descended on the rhino's position with its tail glowing white. As the mouse descended on the rhino, it rolled into a bowl and began to spin vertically, taking the appearance of a small yellow sphere outlined with a thick white line. Upon collision with the rhino's back, a loud buzz-saw-like noise echoed through the clearing. The rhino cried in agony and jerked its head backwards, ripping its horn out of the tree. Once it was free, the rhino quickly jumped to the side away from the mouse. But, when the rhino jumped, it caused the mouse to dig even deeper into the rhino's rock body and damage its tail. Once the rhino was out of the way of the mouse's attack, the mouse flew straight into the ground, causing the mouse to burrow deep into the earth. The rhino looked horrible. A huge chunk of its back was gone and laying nearby on the ground, and there was a deep slit in its body that went at least 5 inches in. The rhino looked at the mouse with fury as it crawled out of the hole it had dug for itself. The mouse's tail looked like it was the only thing that got damaged on the mouse's body, but the damage was nothing to scoff at. The backside of the mouse's tail was bent back and crinkled along each edge of its lightning bolt shape. The rhino roared as it charged the mouse once more. The mouse also charged at the rhino with small sparks skipping across its fur. When the two were about to collide, the mouse jumped with all its strength and grabbed onto the rhino's horn. With electricity already charged, the mouse wasted no time in releasing another massive blast of electricity onto the rhino. The column of light shone in the sky once more as the cry of the rhino was carried through the air. When the column disappeared, Naruto looked at the crater that was once a peaceful clearing full of life. These creatures are certainly powerful. They reduced the entire clearing into nothing more than a wasteland in the course of an hour. Naruto thought as he looked at the setting sun. Naruto once again focused his attention onto the crater where he saw the mouse laying on its side breathing very heavily with a look of triumph in its eyes. Naruto looked to the left of the mouse to see the rhino unconscious, with sparks escaping through all the holes in its body and its eyes steaming. That is truly amazing. The rhino just got a massive amount of electricity shot through its eyes and it is merely unconscious. Its eyes are also still intact and appear to have taken no damage. Naruto thought. Naruto continued to watch as the mouse slowly picked itself off the ground and walked into the forest, its form disappearing behind the thick trees. Once Naruto deemed it safe enough, he slunk away from the battlefield and took to the trees once more. That was interesting. Naruto thought as he continued to jump through the trees. But this time around, Naruto was way more careful around the creatures, staying as far away from them as possible. No need to get into a confrontation and waste energy. After all, he still had no idea where he was. When over half of the sun was hidden behind the mountains, a small speck appeared in the distance. Naruto strained his eyes to identify it as he began to dash towards the speck. As he grew closer, Naruto could see the shadows of small structures in the distance, accompanied by a medium-sized hill, with what looked to be a windmill on it. Naruto looked to his left and found a thin dirt road leading towards a small village. He jumped out of the trees and landed soundlessly on the road. He looked down the road once more and then commenced his sprint towards the town. After running for a good 10 more minutes, Naruto slowed to a stop right in front of a gate entrance with a signpost by it. Naruto glanced at the sign and read the fancy words carved into the wooden surface. Pallet Town. Where Pokemon Masters are born. This looks like a civilian settlement, no apparent defenses. I may be able to gather some information from here. Naruto thought as he sealed his swords away in their respective scrolls and began to walk towards the gate. Pokemon Master. Naruto thought, reading the sign once more. Sounds interesting. Without another thought, Naruto's body promptly disappeared as he took to the shadows. No sense waltzing into an unknown settlement dressed as a fully armed and highly lethal ninja. That would just be silly. Sir, we have another reading. How high? It's off the charts. I see mobilize 2 squads from Omega and Delta. I want them in my office within the next hour. From which sector, sir? Sector 10. Sector 10, sir. Did I stutter? And no, sir. While I do appreciate irony, I don't think now is the time for it. Make sure you have those teams ready. As you wish, sir. Last time on The Rise of Chaos. Naruto was transported to a strange new world inhabited by animal-like creatures with extraordinary power. After witnessing a spectacular battle between a mouse-like creature and a rock rhino, Naruto spotted a town. When he approached the village, Naruto found that the small town was called Pallet Town. After weighing the consequences, Naruto decided to enter to find some answers. This town seems peaceful. It doesn't look like any hidden village I have ever seen. Naruto thought as he continued to slink through the small village, seamlessly blending with every shadow he came across. He could have hid without them, but what was the point? They worked just fine for him. Naruto studied the small structures that the villagers chose to call home. They were what one would expect of a common citizen. Most were only 2 stories tall with at least 5 or 6 rooms. There was at least 1 window for every room of the house, and the top windows had balconies. The outside walls of the houses were wide and made out of long planks of wood. The roofs were made out of a similar substance, but they each varied in color. Naruto watched as a mother and her child traveled down the sidewalk towards a nearby building with a blue roof. The building was only 1 story, but it was much wider than the other houses Naruto had seen. The building also only had 1 window on the left side of the front wall. The window revealed various items, most of which Naruto couldn't identify. The building, that Naruto presumed was a shop, also had the word Pokemon engraved into a rectangular metal plate on the right side of the front wall. Naruto listened as the giddy boy and his mother conversed on their way to the store. "Now Ash, we will have to hurry if you want to get done packing for your journey tomorrow," the mother said. "I know, Mom." The boy identified as Ash responded as he looked onward at the oncoming shop. "Did you bring the list?" the mother asked. "Yes, Mom," Ash said, pulling out a large sheet of paper. "That paper is blank, dear." "What?" Ash's eyes widened as he looked at the paper for himself. Contrary to his mother's belief, the sheet did have something written on it. "Ideas." "Oh, the irony." "Shoot," Ash said simply as he spun on his heel and dashed back down the sidewalk. "I'll be back in a minute, Mom." "Wait, I have it here, honey," his mom called after him as she waved a small piece of paper in his wake. Realizing that the gesture was useless as her son continued his heated sprint down the pavement, Ash's mom lowered her arm as she sighed in exasperation. "I wonder how long it will take before he gives up." "Pokemart," Naruto thought as he tuned out of the conversation at hand. "Taking the poke out of that equation, I'm guessing that is a store. And stores generally have books." Choosing to ignore the orange flash that came with the word books, Naruto's hands flashed with movement as his body shifted. Rolling his shoulders as he stepped out from the cover of darkness, Naruto took to the streets, passing behind Ash's mother as he began his block-long journey towards the Pokemart. Offering a smile to a passerby, Naruto found himself feeling quite naked when a gentle breeze brushed against the bottom of his face. He looked almost exactly the same, except he now lacked his trademark whiskers and clothes. Instead, he opted to wear a plain black shirt, denim jeans, and an orange overcoat with blue fringes. After all, based on the dress of almost half of the children in the town, this seemed to be normal. "No matter how many times I do this, it never seems to feel natural," Naruto mused, suppressing a small shiver at his apparent lack of dress. But, in truth, nothing about Naruto's appearance had changed. If anyone in the village was proficient in genjutsu, then all they would see was Naruto covered in a black cloak roaming around the village. But, because Naruto knew for a fact that no such thing existed in the village, he felt comfortable taking the chance. As he approached the sliding doors in front of the Pokemart, Naruto never broke his stride as his gaze shifted across the entrance. "Where the hell do I pull from?" Venturing a guess to the right, Naruto had his hands near his waistline when a shrill chime rung above his head as the double doors slid open. Taking the strange series of occurrences in stride, Naruto threw his hands behind his head and plastered a smile across his face as he strode into the store. Nodding towards the clerk, Naruto traversed the aisles, glancing over a number of foreign products as he went. "Antidote. Okay, simple enough. Escape rope. What could you possibly be doing where a rope is your means of escape? Maybe if there was a grappling hook at the end of it, then I could understand, but otherwise I don't get it. Repel. Bug spray maybe. Potion. Alchemy and witchcraft come to mind. Revive. Ed treatment maybe. Pokeball. That word poke seems to come up a lot in this town. Pokemon for dummies." If the title wasn't enough of a put-off, the book's dull yellow color served as the other factor that almost made Naruto simply keep on walking. But, logic took over as Naruto reached down to retrieve the absurdly thick object. Truly, if dummies were to read this, then you would think it would be a pencil-thin picture book, but apparently that wasn't the case. "Hey, it does have pictures," Naruto thought nonchalantly as he leafed through a few of the pages. "This will be more than enough to keep me busy." Shutting the book as he approached the counter, Naruto offered the cashier a smile as he placed his purchase on the counter. The thought of placing it face down so she couldn't read the title came to mind, but it soon left as soon as Naruto realized how distinctive the yellow cover actually was. Sort of like orange back home. "Will that be all for you today?" The woman asked pleasantly as she slid the book across the counter while never breaking eye contact. Yeah, I think so. Naruto said, offering yet another smile. Strange that smiling came so naturally when he refused to allow people to ever see his actual face. What brings you to Pallet? I've never seen you before. The woman asked as a small beep rang through the air. Of course, this is a small town, it's only natural that its residents know each other personally. Naruto thought while he watched the woman type a few things into the cash register. They all probably grew up together. I was just stopping by to take a break from my travels. Naruto said as he pulled out his wallet. Travels? The woman asked as she took a glance at the book. You've already started your Pokemon journey, how old are you? Pokemon journey? Naruto thought as he handed her the money. He could have given her exact change, but he needed time to think. Good. Naruto thought as he watched the cashier sigh and bend over to retrieve a roll of pennies to restock the cash register. 1. Okay, Pokemon journey. Pokemon, let's skip that word for now. Journey translates into an adventure of some sort, but what kind of adventure? Well, she connected the journey with the word travel, but you travel in almost all adventures I've heard of, so that's no help. Naruto thought while the cashier broke open the roll. And that just leaves me with Pokemon, that is the only word that has been spoke that I don't understand, and those strange creatures that seem to keep popping up are the only things I cannot identify, so I'm going to venture a guess that they are called Pokemon. The cashier huffed as the last penny in the roll refused to leave its casing. So, if Pokemon are those things, then a Pokemon journey is an adventure with them. But, she seemed surprised that I was on a Pokemon journey and asked my age. Why though? Naruto nearly slapped his forehead, a flash of yellow filled his vision. The book, that's why. It was called Pokemon for Dummies, and I doubt it is common practice for someone uneducated about Pokemon would go on an adventure with them. But then there is still the age factor. But poking seeming to be ineffective, the cashier opted to tear the side of the roll open. Am I too young to be starting a Pokemon journey? Well, if that was the case, then what about the kid I saw earlier? He and his mom were talking about starting a journey tomorrow, and he looks younger than I am. Naruto thought as he heard the cashier grunt in victory. So if they were talking about the same journey as she is, then I look too old to be just beginning. The sound of metal meeting granite soon tore Naruto out of his thoughts, however, as the clerk stared at him expectantly. Thank you. Naruto said pleasantly as he claimed his single piece of change. So the woman asked. I'm 13 and no, I haven't started my journey yet. Naruto said as he placed the coin in his wallet. But I'm about to, I just wanted to make sure I knew what I was doing first. Ooh, I see. The woman said in realization as she handed Naruto the receipt. So you're here to see Professor Oak then? Professor Oak? Yeah. Naruto said as he retrieved his book from the counter. I was hoping he could get me started. Well, you came to see the right man. The woman said proudly. Professor Oak is the best when it comes to supplying new trainers. I figured as much. Naruto said as he began to approach the door. Thank you for your help. You're welcome, and I wish you luck on your journey. The woman called after him as the doors closed behind him. Well, that was enlightening. Naruto thought with a sigh as he walked down the street aimlessly. And now I have a book to read. It would have been nice to have found a library to read it in, but information is information. Returning from his thoughts, Naruto began his search for a spot to read in peace. Settling on a large oak tree on top of the only hill in the city, Naruto dully noted the large windmill that stood right by it. That must be the village's only power supply. Naruto thought as he began his trek along the dirt road leading up the hill. I doubt they need much power anyway. After the better part of a minute, Naruto had made it to his destination. Leaning his back against the tree trunk as he worked himself into a sitting position, Naruto prepared to open his newest purchase when the creaking of hinges caught his attention. Setting his book down as he went to investigate, Naruto approached the door of the windmill. The windmill didn't look broken, so he doubted it was a maintenance man. Gazing at the door with a critical eye, Naruto reached out to test the handle when a flash of movement caught his attention. Naruto was forced to leap backwards as the door swung open just enough for him to view a man standing at the other end. The man was old, that much was apparent. He had white hair, plenty of wrinkles, a white lab coat, a red dress shirt, and tan caucus. Word professor shot through Naruto's mind as he straightened up from his crouched position. You have got to be kidding me. Nope. Deciding to ignore the sudden dialogue, Naruto chose to instead focus on the old man as he began to speak. I'm sorry my boy, I didn't see you there. The old man said as he beckoned Naruto into the windmill. Following the man's gesture, Naruto took a chance. You're Professor Oak, correct? The one and only. Professor Oak said happily as he shut the door behind Naruto. So, what can this old man do for you? Well, you see. Naruto began, struggling to figure out the answer himself. I've wanted to start my Pokemon journey for a while now, but there are a few things I still want to learn before I start it. I was wondering if you could help me. You came to the right professor. Professor Oak proclaimed as he led Naruto out of his living room and down a hallway. How he could fit a house into a windmill, Naruto refused to ask. I would answer your questions myself, but I'm kind of busy getting ready for tomorrow. The professor said as they continued down the hall. 4 young kids are about to start their journey as well, and I want to be ready for them. Naruto nodded absently as Professor Oak came to a stop in front of a nameless wooden door. This man must do this a lot. Naruto thought as he entered the room behind Professor Oak. He didn't even flinch when I appeared in front of his door without any forewarning. Here we are. Professor Oak announced as shuffled behind Naruto, positioned to leave once more. Naruto gazed at all of the enormous shelves filled with books of all shapes, colors, and sizes when he heard Professor Oak speak. This is my personal library, you are free to read whatever you wish, just make sure to put it back when you are done. If you need me for something, I'll be back in my office after I come back from the Pokemon Center. It's right up the stairs from the living room. Thank you. Naruto said as he heard the door close behind him. And with that, Naruto was left to his studies. When Naruto was sure that Professor Oak was gone, thin blue wisps began to surround his person as his hands rested into a familiar cross shape. 10 puffs of smoke soon filled the library. Strange. Naruto thought as his clones went about doing their assigned jobs. I was hoping for more. A thin blue mist surrounded Naruto for a second time as he tried the technique a second time, this time producing 40. This could be a problem. Momentarily driving the thought from his mind as he went about creating 50 more clones, Naruto began to read. After all, he didn't just want to know the basics, he wanted to know everything he could to satisfy his ever-growing list of questions. Well, let's get to it. Naruto said as he and his clones dispersed. One Naruto picked up a book titled, The History of the Pokemon World. Chapter 1. Outline. The world began as nothing more than an empty void of space. From the void an egg came into being. From this egg came the first Pokemon to ever exist. This Pokemon came to be called Arceus, the god of all Pokemon. Arceus first created the separate dimensions of time and space to support its new universe. Arceus also created Palkia and Dialga to govern the new dimensions. Soon after the creation of time and space, Arceus created the Pokemon world, which was used to house the mortal beings of this galaxy. Not long after the world came into existence, the world grew unstable and purple clouds began to form. These clouds destroyed the few living Pokemon that inhabited the planet at the time. Pokemon like Kabuto, Ammonite, Lileep and Anorith became extinct and the world was nothing more than a wasteland. Seeing the problem, Arceus created the reverse world to stabilize the planet. Arceus created Giratina to govern the new world. After creating Giratina, Arceus created the adamant, lustrous and Griseous orbs. After the formation of the reverse world, the destructive clouds began to dissipate and in a few years they were gone. In place of the wasteland it once was, lush plant life began to inhabit the Pokemon world, filling the planet with color. But with no creatures to feed on the plants, the planet was overrun by plant life and became nothing more than a forest. Arceus created Mew, a Pokemon containing the DNA of all the Pokemon that were to come to be in the world. Mew was sent to bring life back to the world, but it couldn't reproduce fast enough and the forest continued to grow. Arceus came to the conclusion that it needed a new species that would reproduce fast and manage the land into something more than nature. For this Arceus created humans. At first the humans looked promising and they reproduced faster than first expected. But they had no purpose and only ate, slept, and reproduced. To counteract this Arceus created Azelf the spirit of willpower, Uxie the spirit of knowledge, and Mesprit the spirit of emotion. They found a home in present-day Lake Valor, Lake Acuity, and Lake Verity respectively. With the new spirits guiding them, humans began to cultivate the land and build small settlements across the land, clearing the forests as they continued to spread. It wasn't long before the humans began exploring the land looking for treasures and new homes. This in turn gave them the name the Lake Trio. Soon after the humans began exploring, they stumbled upon Pokemon. Being peace-loving and having no weapons, the humans quickly began to befriend the Pokemon, using them to help with work. Many years went by and the humans and Pokemon lived together in peace and harmony. But over time disputes over land started to arise among the humans. These disputes lead to the territory war. The humans were divided into many sides. In the war there were virtually no alliances and it was every group for itself. As the war raged on, the Pokemon were gradually dragged into the conflict as well. When the humans saw the destructive potential of the Pokemon, they began to train them to fight. The Pokemon accepted the training and they began to take the place of the swords, hammers, and bows. It wasn't long before the Pokemon became the weapon of all humans. This leads to a strong resistance against Pokemon's attacks in later years for the humans. The war continued with devastating effects. Due to the Pokemon's effectiveness in fighting, the casualties of the war began to grow at a rapid pace. Soon organizations began to pull out from the war and surrender. But when the war finally looked like it was going to end, a new organization, whose name is unknown, rose to power. The organization not only wielded Pokemon, but the humans in the organization also held deadly powers. The organization took the world by storm and quickly annihilated many lesser groups, leaving no survivors. Realizing the danger of the new organization, the leaders of each remaining group held a meeting, discussing the new problem. The leaders came to a compromise and band together against the organization. The new army produced by the alliance was called Liberty. The army met the organization's troops on a plateau covered in lavender flowers. The battle took place in a late-night thunderstorm, and it later became known as the Battle of Indigo Plateau. This battle began a new war called the War of Salvation. The war started out catastrophic for the allied groups. The first year and a half produced nothing but devastating losses for the allied groups. With their morale low and many casualties, the army retreated from the battlefield. The organization's troops followed them to their base and retreated themselves to report to their leader. But the small amount of time they had, the allied group set up defenses around their base and armed the humans with the previously forgotten weapons. In this time the allied groups were also able to recruit a few nearby settlements to fight for them. With the new recruits, the groups were able to create two more armies that were half the size of the main army. These new armies were called Hope and Resolve. The organization's army approached the base under the cover of night, or so they thought. The army was ambushed from the trees by Liberty and driven back to a large lake on the outskirts of the allied base. From the water, Resolve flanked the organization's army. The battle that followed was later named the Clash at Lake Resolve. The battle raged on. The next day, the organization's army was cut in half, while the two allied armies remained virtually unharmed. The organization's army called in for backup and another army was sent from the organization's base. The organization's second army finally arrived 3 days later and the other army was completely obliterated. Seeing the danger of the situation, the organization's second army retreated. Before the organization could get far, Liberty and Resolve both ambushed them from the forest. The organization's army was forced to fight and the battle was a long one. The battle later became known as the Battle of Grove Liberty. Both sides had many casualties and the organization's army seemed to have the upper hand until, during a midnight clash between the two sides, the organization's army began to retreat. Tired and injured, Liberty stayed behind while Resolve gave chase. 1 week later, only a handful of troops returned to report back to the allied groups. They reported that Hope and Resolve had successfully infiltrated the organization's base. Being the first one to enter, all of Hope's forces were obliterated, but half of Resolve still remained in the base. None of the organization could be found after that, it was as if they disappeared. A huge celebration was held on that day, and the allied groups had officially won the war. The day became known as the Day of Salvation. Medals were awarded to all of the troops that served, and the troops that served in Hope were declared the main reason they won the war. After that day, peace once again returned to the land and the War of Salvation ended. In honor of the troops that served, children began to train their families' Pokemon and battle each other, soon spreading to all ages. The sport soon evolved and gyms were created to test a trainer's skills. The gym leaders would sign a form showing that the trainer had beaten them. This evolved into badges and a tournament was created for the trainers that were able to obtain all the badges in their region. The tournament was called the Indigo League and it was held on the site where the War of Salvation first began. Many years passed by and all was peaceful, but suddenly strange natural phenomenal occurrences began to take place. Volcanoes erupted violently while unprovoked tidal waves overtook the beaches. Raging storms covered the land in some places, while in others major drought struck. For many months, these occurrences continued with no explanation for their causes. One day during these occurrences, a loud cry was heard throughout what is now the Hone region. People looked off the coast to see two massive Pokemon clashing. One Pokemon never left the land. This Pokemon is now called Groudon. The other never left the water. This Pokemon is now called Kyogre. The fighting continued for a week with no end in sight. But suddenly when Groudon and Kyogre were charging up their respective attacks, the sky cleared of all its impurities and a green dragon descended on Kyogre and Groudon. This dragon is now known as Rayquaza. Rayquaza was enraged by Groudon and Kyogre's constant clashes and it quickly quelled the fighting. Kyogre returned to its home in a deep underwater trench and Groudon retreated into a cavern deep inside the ground while Rayquaza came to rest in its home on Sky Pillar. The blue and red orbs were created to prevent Groudon and Kyogre from reawakening from their slumbers. In later years, scientists have discovered that Groudon formed from magma deep inside the planet and that Kyogre was formed by the pressure in deep sea trenches and that Rayquaza was formed by the minerals of the ozone layer. After the fighting stopped between Kyogre and Groudon, a new Pokemon called Regigigas moved the continents, forming the regions that exist today. It is said that during this violent procedure Stark Mountain was created and Heatran formed in its lava. After doing its job, Rigagigas came to rest in Snowpoint Temple. Soon after, during the Stone, Ice, and Steel Ages, the legendary golems were created and served as keys for the temple. These golems were Rigirok, the Stone Golem, Regis, the Ice Golem, and Registeel, the Steel Golem. Many years after, rumors of Pokemon called the Unknown began to spread. Scientists rushed into the Alph, Tanabe, and Salacian ruins in search of the mysterious Pokemon. While they weren't able to find the Pokemon themselves, they did find writing on the walls of the ruins that they were able to translate. They called this new style of writing Unknown script. Hundreds of years after the Unknown incident, the Tin Tower and Brass Tower were constructed in Acridiac City in honor of Lugia and Ho-Oh. It was said that in the Tin Tower Pokemon rested, and the Brass Tower was said to awaken Pokemon. It was said that Lugia made roost atop the Tin Tower, and Ho-Oh roosted atop the Brass Tower. Meanwhile, another Naruto picked up a book titled Overall Knowledge of Pokemon. Chapter 1. What are Pokemon? Pokemon are special creatures that coexist with humans in the world. Most people respect Pokemon and treat them kindly, but there are also some people that take advantage of Pokemon and exploit their abilities. Pokemon have their own feelings and emotions. Also, Pokemon can understand the human language to some extent. Most Pokemon have the ability to evolve at an astounding rate. Chapter 2. Pokemon Evolution. Because of this fact, one theory about Pokemon states that all Pokemon were originally the same species, but though the theory has been explored many times, it has not been proven. Another theory is that Mew, the ancestor of all Pokemon, reproduced and created other Mew that evolved into other Pokemon. But this theory cannot be proven because Mew is believed to be extinct. A different theory says that Mew gave birth to all the different kinds of Pokemon that we know today. This theory has been accepted by most modern scientists. Today, Pokemon commonly undergo a process that is called evolution. During the course of a Pokemon's development, under the correct circumstances, a Pokemon will evolve into a different Pokemon. This process happens extremely fast, and it changes the Pokemon in many ways. Evolution changes a Pokemon's physical appearance, and it also raises the Pokemon's base states. Evolution might also change the Pokemon's attribute. Chapter 3. Classification. Pokemon have been counted and classified by humans and put into a numerical system. Since more and more new Pokemon are being found, this system has to be updated constantly, but it allows data to be stored neatly into a Pokédex. The numerical system was first put together by Bill and Professor Oak. In addition to the numerical system, humans have also classified Pokemon into an elemental system as well. This system classifies Pokemon into different attributes. The attributes consist of normal, fire, water, grass, electric, ice, fighting, poison, ground, flying, psychic, bug, rock, ghost, dragon, dark, and steel. Each elemental type has 3 properties. Which attribute it is effective against, which attribute it is less effective against, and which attribute it is ineffective against. Pokemon can have either 1 or 2 attributes. Chapter 4. Reproduction. When a Pokemon passes its baby form, it can breed with other Pokemon of the same egg group. Ditto can breed with almost any Pokemon, and Pokemon with no genders can only breed with Ditto. Baby Pokemon and legendary Pokemon cannot breed at all. The Pokemon's gender can usually be determined by slight changes in the Pokemon's appearance. Pokemon only reproduce when they are left in a Pokemon daycare by their trainers. Scientists do not know exactly how a Pokemon reproduces because no one has ever witnessed the action. Because of this, scientists assume that Pokemon only reproduce when left alone. When Pokemon reproduce, they lay eggs. The eggs have a hard outer shell to protect the underdeveloped Pokemon inside. All the eggs have a unique pattern on the outer shell that represents what Pokemon will hatch. At the same time, a different Naruto started to read a book titled Geography. Chapter 1. A World Overview. The world is split into several regions. Among these regions are Kanto, Johto, Hone, and Sinnoh regions. Off the coast of these regions are small groups of islands that do not belong to any of the previously listed regions. These islands form the Orange Islands and the Sevii Islands. Though the humans do not usually change very much from region to region, the Pokemon and legends of the region do. Along with Pokemon, the culture of the people may also vary from one region to the other. Outside the boundaries of the 4 main regions, small towns and kingdoms are spread across the land. These settlements prefer to stay secluded from the main population of the world. The climate also differs from one region to the next. Regions and islands like Hone and the Orange Islands have a very warm climate year-round, while northerly regions like Sinnoh can become cold. Each region has many different types of environments spread throughout its interior. These environments can range from sandy beaches to rainforests to the hottest of deserts. Throughout the years, humans have grown mindful of the environment. Because of this, we have built our cities around the nature and we take care not to destroy or defile it. Another Naruto was reading a book titled Technology. Chapter 1. Today's Technology. Many technological advances have been made since humans were first created. An example of these advances is the ability to store Pokemon in computers. Along with that, equipment has also been made that can send Pokemon back in time by means of a time capsule and also clone fossils to create prehistoric Pokemon. Today scientists are also working to create the many other helpful inventions. One of these is the Pokemon Dream Projector that is being created by scientists at the Devon Corporation. The machine is designed to make a visual projection of a Pokemon's dreams. Another example is the Pokemon Speaker, which is designed to allow communication between Pokemon and humans. Also, the Pokemon Transformator is being created. It is designed to transform humans into Pokemon. One of the most commonly used technologies that are being mass-produced is the ever-popular Pokeballs. These devices are able to convert Pokemon into an energy form that can be stored in the ball's hollow inside. Chapter 2. Pokeball Types. Pokeballs come in many different types. The synthetic types of the Pokeballs include the Pokeball, Premier Ball, Great Ball, Ultra Ball, Master Ball, Dive Ball, Safari Ball, Luxury Ball, Nest Ball, Net Ball, Quick Ball, Park Ball, and others. Before the technology was created to forge Pokeballs, they had to be handcrafted from apricorns. The types of these natural Pokeballs include the Heavy Ball, Level Ball, Lure Ball, Moon Ball, Friend Ball, Fast Ball, Love Ball, and others. A different Naruto began to read a book titled The Fundamentals of Aura. Chapter 1. The Basics. Aura is the essence inside every living being. During the War of Salvation, many scientists believed that the troops of the organization had the ability to control aura. Some of the troops converted to the Allied side during the war and fought against the organization. Those troops were called Aura Guardians by their peers, and the name soon spread. The Aura Guardians were said to be able to sense another's aura from far away, use extraordinary attacks similar to that of a Pokemon, and create barriers with aura. Aura was also described by the soldiers to be a light blue color when visible. The famous Aura Guardian was Sir Aaron. Sir Aaron was able to save his kingdom from a small war that was occurring outside of its walls. Unfortunately, though Sir Aaron was able to quell the fighting, he did not ever return to the kingdom. However, Sir Aaron did take on a Lucario as an apprentice. The fate of the Lucario is unknown, however, because he too never returned to the kingdom. Some theories state that the Lucario found a family and taught them the ways of aura. Today all Lucario and Riolu are the only known Pokemon with the ability to control raw aura. A different Naruto began to read a book titled The Organization. Chapter 1. What we know. Not much is known about the organization that the Allied groups fought during the War of Salvation. But some facts and rumors have leaked through. It is said that the troops in the organization all dressed in similar attire. The surviving soldiers from the war described them as all wearing black and covering their faces with a cloth. Other soldiers said they carried long curved swords and small knives that they threw. It was also said that most of the troops that fought on the organization side had the power to control aura. Soldiers from the Allied groups described their powers as otherworldly. Chapter 2. Soldiers' Claims. They were able to create tidal waves with a flick of the wrist. They could create storms and control where the lightning struck. They were almost as destructive as the Pokemon. They could even heal their wounds on the spot. We all thought they were gods at first. They never went down. One of their soldiers could easily defeat 10 of our men. If it wasn't for our Pokemon, they could have defeated our entire army in a few minutes. The Narutos read vigorously for the next few hours, emptying the bookshelves as they went. 3 hours passed, and the Narutos continued to read about everything they could. Once one question was answered, 2 more would pop up in its place. After a total of 7 hours, every last book was cleared from the shelves. After restocking the shelves, Naruto began to call back all of his clones in groups of 5. The process was a bit painful, but it was finished in 30 minutes total. When Naruto was finally done with everything, he headed towards Professor Oak's office. Once he got there, he gently creaked open the door to see Professor Oak writing something in a rather thick book under a desk light. Naruto looked outside and saw that the sun was beginning to rise. Naruto approached the professor and spoke. "Professor Oak, I have completed my studies," Naruto said. "Ah, hello my boy, I thought you had fallen asleep. You must be a very active reader." "I wanted to make sure I was ready for my journey," Naruto reasoned. "And do you think you are ready?" Professor Oak asked. "Yes." "Good. Follow me and I will give you the equipment you need for your journey," Professor Oak said as he got out of his chair and began to walk over to a desk. Naruto blinked as he registered what had just been said. "Well, I might as well. Judging by those books, Konoha isn't something that anybody seems to know anything about in this place," Naruto thought as he traveled in the professor's wake. "So that means I can either get depressed or find something to do so I don't have to think about it. Besides, crying isn't my thing." Naruto followed the professor to a long desk lined with a few rows of equipment. Having read all the books, Naruto was able to identify them. There were a number of Pokeballs, 5 Pokédex, 5 Pokénavs, multiple berries, and some potions. After they got to the table, Professor Oak turned around and presented Naruto with 6 Pokeballs, a Pokédex, and a Pokénav. I am sorry my boy, but I don't have a Pokemon to give you, seeing as all of the ones I do have are reserved for the 4 new trainers I have coming in tomorrow to start their own journeys. But, if you come back in about a week I will be able to get something for you. Professor Oak said, while he handed Naruto the equipment. This will be fine Professor. Naruto said as he accepted the items. My parents already have a Pokemon ready for me back home. Glad to hear it. Now let's get you registered. Professor Oak said as he walked over to a nearby computer. Professor Oak began to type vigorously on the keyboard and soon a pre-filed document appeared on the monitor. Okay Naruto, I already filled in most of your registration already, now all I need to know is your hometown and your full name. Professor Oak asked as he looked back from his chair. My hometown is Naruto began, trailing off for a second as Professor Oak looked at him expectantly. Should I? Konoha. Konoha. Professor Oak asked as his hands quickly moved back to the home keys on his keyboard. Yeah I get that a lot. Naruto said. It's a small village a ways outside of the 3 main regions. My parents spent quite a bit to get me flown out here to meet you. Well I'm honored. Professor Oak said in shock as he filled in the information. I'll have to visit this village someday. I bet they would really appreciate it. Naruto commented. And now all I need is your name and you'll be all set. Professor Oak said as he prepared to type in the information. My name is Naruto Hisam. This is Team Omega. We are in position. Perfect. Delta Team what is your stats? We are 1 kilometer away from our post. Are you sure you saw the Neo enter this town? It seems too quiet. Wouldn't it have left a trail? I can't find any sign of irregular footprints. My spies are perfectly reliable. All you should be worried about is being able to get the job done. Understood. Last time on the Rise of Chaos. Naruto began to roam around Pallet Town searching for answers. After stumbling upon a structure named the Pokemart Naruto bought Pokemon for Dummies. And, after a very enlightening conversation with the cashier, Naruto proceeded to find a place to read his new book. After finding a nice hill, Naruto was about to begin reading, but before he could he ran into Professor Oak. Gaining access to the professor's library, Naruto began to read everything the world he entered. After Naruto finished studying Professor Oak signed Naruto up as the new trainer, Hisam Naruto. The fresh morning breeze traveled lazily through the air, causing a man's cloak to flutter as he stood alone at the gates of Pallet Town. This man was gazing down the dirt path that led out of the town and into the wild unknown. The man had an impassive look on his face. On his face was a blank stare that revealed no emotion to the outside world. His facial expression was hidden behind a black mask. The man looked at the wilderness with a calculating look, seeming to examine every aspect of the environment. His body remained hidden under his cloak, but his eyes were all that was required to show his alertness. This man's name was Uzumaki Naruto. But that was before, now Naruto is starting his first day and taking his first steps as a new man. This new man will start on a fresh slate and people shall view him as they would any other human being. Gone are the forsaken glares, overpriced goods, and degrading adults. This man's world shall start anew with no one to decide his fate but he himself. People will judge this new man on who he is and not what he holds inside him. People will treat this new man as they would anyone else. This man will be able to live like everyone else. It is now that Naruto starts his new life as not Uzumaki Naruto, but Hisam Naruto, the next Pokemon Master. Naruto took one last calming breath as he looked back at Pallet Town's gates. Naruto made a cross-shaped hand sign and began to focus his aura. Visible light blue wisps of energy began to circle around Naruto's form and small pebbles on the ground began to shake. After a few seconds a small cloud of smoke appeared. When the smoke cleared 10 Naruto clones stood in its place. Aura is practically identical to chakra, but it is less potent and that factor is throwing off all of my control. I will need more practice before I can attempt any of my higher level techniques. Naruto thought as he watched his 10 clones attempt to transform. Just like the original, the clones took a while to finish their technique, but in the process they nearly exhausted themselves. The clones no longer looked anything like each other in Naruto when their transformations were complete. When their new identities were approved by Naruto the clones re-entered Pallet Town in search of work, food, a training area, and a house. Naruto watched as the last clone walked back through the town's gates. He turned around to face the forest and began to meditate. A short while later Naruto's eyes snapped open and he launched himself into the forest. The target has been confirmed. Requesting permission to engage. A male voice reported over a personal communicator. Request denied. The female from before said. But another male voice began. No buts, you are to only analyze this Neo. Before you can fight an opponent with this much potential, you must first learn their strengths and weaknesses. It would be foolhardy and brutish to just engage an enemy with no knowledge of their abilities. We are counting on your teams to complete the mission. If you succeed you might be promoted, don't disappoint us. The female said. Yes, ma'am. The two male voices responded. A gentle breeze rustled the leaves of a nearby tree as Naruto jumped off a tree branch. It's near here. Naruto thought as he came to a sudden stop. Naruto scanned the area with a critical eye as he searched for his target. In the area shards of grey rock littered the ground and a few scorched trees stood defiantly against the morning breeze. Naruto closed his eyes once again while wisps of aura circled his figure. The aura died down as Naruto turned to look at a large oak tree that had a minimal amount of scorch marks in its bark. Naruto's eyes gradually ascended until they finally focused on the middle of the treetop. Through the foliage a tiny speck of yellow shone through the green leaves. The speck was so small that you wouldn't even notice it if you didn't know what you were looking for. Naruto soundlessly approached the speck and was careful to stay downwind. Naruto rapidly made his way through the foliage and was soon standing only a few feet away from the yellow mouse Pokemon that he had seen the other day. Naruto could now identify the Pokemon as Pikachu the electric mouse. 1. The Pikachu had most if not all of the damage it got from its battle with the Rhyhorn yesterday. The Pikachu seemed to be in a deep sleep, so Naruto silently began to draw a Pokeball from one of his scrolls. Naruto threw the Pokeball at the Pikachu and all looked well. But, right before the Pokeball made contact with Pikachu, its eyes snapped open and it swiftly sprung out of its laying position. The Pikachu sidestepped the Pokeball, causing the Pokeball to reach of the branch and fall to the ground below. The Pikachu scanned its surroundings until its eyes landed on Naruto's form. The Pikachu stared at Naruto for a while, seeming to be sizing him up. Suddenly, without warning, the Pikachu dashed forward towards Naruto at amazing speeds. The Pikachu launched itself at Naruto once it was 5 feet away. Naruto responded by tilting his head to the side just enough that the Pikachu flew barely an inch away from his face. Before the Pikachu could land, Naruto did a front flip in his crouched position. During the flip, Naruto was able to kick the Pikachu square in its chest, launching the Pokemon high into the air. As the Pikachu flew, it broke branches and twigs on the way up. When Pikachu did regain control of its body, it planted its feet on a nearby tree branch and used its momentum to launch itself straight for Naruto. When Pikachu was about 3 feet away from making contact with Naruto, Naruto somersaulted off the tree branch and dove towards the ground below. The Pikachu quickly cancelled its attack and sprung of the tree branch Naruto was previously on in hot pursuit. Naruto flipped in the air and landed just in time to backflip away from another attack from the Pikachu. The Pikachu quickly recovered from its landing and once again charged at Naruto. Naruto sidestepped Pikachu's initial tackle and soon had to jump over Pikachu's tail. Naruto once again began to gain some distance between the Pikachu and himself. The Pikachu is not using any of its regular attacks. It must still exhausted from its previous battle against the Rhyhorn. Naruto thought as he continued to examine the panting Pikachu. If I go about this the correct way, I have a high probability of capturing it. Not wasting any time, Naruto charged the Pikachu at speeds it never thought possible for a human. Naruto threw an upward kick at the Pikachu. The Pikachu dodged by rolling under Naruto's legs, but before it could attack it had to jump over a sweeping kick by Naruto. Right after the Pikachu jumped, Naruto backhanded the side of its body, knocking the Pikachu into a nearby tree. The impact between the Pikachu and the tree created a dent in the tree that was 3 feet in circumference, half a foot deep. The Pikachu slowly began to fall out of its dent in the tree and plummet towards the ground. But before the exhausted Pokemon could hit the ground, Naruto jumped up and met the Pikachu with a devastating uppercut 10 feet away from the ground. The Pikachu was once again sent careening through the tree's branches. The Pikachu finally came to a stop about 50 feet high in the air when it hit the bottom of a branch. It left a small indentation in the branch before it slowly began to fall. The Pikachu was sent plummeting towards the ground once again, but this time its body was limp. The Pikachu hit the ground and didn't show any signs of moving. Naruto watched the Pikachu for a few more moments before he started to walk over to his Pokeball, which was laying 30 feet to the right. As Naruto bent down to pick up the Pokeball, a massive pulse of aura came from his left side. Naruto whirled around just in time to see the Pikachu's tail before it connected with his face. The hit took Naruto off his feet and sent him into uncontrolled series of barrel rolls. Naruto quickly recovered and backflipped in midair. The flip caused Naruto to plant his feet on the ground and slid 10 feet away from his initial landing point. Once Naruto was standing again, he immediately had to cross his arms to guard against a headbutt from the Pikachu. The attack sent Naruto skidding across the ground another 2 feet. The Pikachu quickly followed up with a slap from its tail that broke Naruto's guard. The Pikachu took advantage of Naruto's prone form and head-butted Naruto in the center of his chest, causing Naruto to be thrown into a couple bushes 4 feet away. It seems that the Pikachu found its resolve once again. Naruto thought as he slowly began to stand up once more, while he took a glance at the Pokeball in his left hand. As long as I can drain its reserve power, I will be victorious. I am going to have to use that move, but I am not certain I can achieve it in my current state. Naruto thought as he looked at the Pikachu. He could feel the determination flowing of its maul from. It's either try or surrender, and I never surrender. Besides, it would be a shame to disappoint it after it went all out for me. Naruto thought as a small smirk began to form under his mask. At ready, Naruto thought as he took his fighting stance once more. Cause it begins now. Naruto thought as he took off with a major pulse of aura. Naruto was in front of the Pikachu before it could even think to move. Naruto began his assault with a dynamic right hook that connected with the side of the Pikachu's body. The blow caused the Pikachu to lose its grip on the ground and fly to the left just inches above the ground. The Pikachu jammed its tail in the ground to stop itself, but it just ended up causing it to begin to spiral above the ground as it flew. Naruto launched himself 20 feet into the air, did 3 front flips, and stuck his right foot out as he fell back towards the ground. The Pikachu saw the potential attack and quickly planted its tail on a nearby tree. The Pikachu used a tree to get leverage and it sprung off the tree in hopes of dodging Naruto's attack. But it was all in vain when the Pikachu had got no more 3 inches away from the tree. Naruto's dropkick connected with its back. The dropkick sent the Pikachu into the ground hard and it created a crater that was 5 feet in circumference and 2 feet deep. The whole battlefield was silent as Naruto began to stand again. All that could be heard was the rustling of the leaves in the gentle afternoon breeze. Naruto looked at the panting Pikachu in the middle of the crater. The Pikachu was still looking at Naruto, but it was not moving. Its only movement was the rise and fall of its chest as it breathed, and even that looked like it was hurting the Pikachu. That was a spectacular battle, but it seems I am the victor. Naruto thought as he began to raise his left arm. Naruto was about to throw his Pokeball at the Pikachu when a large column of electricity engulfed the battlefield. Requesting permission to engage. A male voice said over the communicator. Request denied. The female voice from before said. But, ma'am, we have examined all the aspects of the Neo. He is weak, all we need to do is finish the job. The other male said. No means no. I am ordering you to wait until the battle is over before you make your move. The female voice said with more force. But if this battle keeps up there won't be anything to move on. The first male whispered. What was that? The female voice asked in annoyance. Yes, ma'am. The 2 men responded. Is this the end? Naruto thought to himself as he stared into the blinding light produced by the electricity. Naruto's body was suspended 20 feet above the ground by the electricity as it rapidly entered his body. I underestimated my opponent, so I suppose I deserve this. Naruto thought while he closed his eyes and allowed his body to plummet towards the ground. What a horrible way to go. As the column of electricity slowly began to dissipate, it gave way to a thick cloud of dust that obscured the battlefield from view. The dust cleared just enough to reveal a huge crater that covered a 15-foot radius of the once lush forest. The oak trees that once stood tall with only minor scorch marks were now completely tilted away from where the blast began. The trees that still stood by half of their trunk were at least 10 feet away from where the blast began. The trees had their leaves incinerated and some of the smaller branches were ripped off the trunk. The trees that were closer to the blast were stripped of all but their thickest branches and knocked onto the ground in a charred heap. The bushes that once occupied the area were no longer existent and the only clue to their existence was small holes where the roots had once been. The grass was replaced by black ash that covered crater. The dust fully cleared to reveal both Naruto and the Pikachu collapsed in the middle of the crater, perfectly still. After a few seconds Naruto slowly began to open his eyes. Naruto slowly climbed onto his knees while taking deep breaths. Naruto looked like he had sustained no damage and his clothes were perfectly clean like always. How did I survive? Naruto asked himself while he checked to make sure all his body parts moved properly. I only feel like I got hit by a mid-level jutsu. Naruto mused as he continued to look himself over. My nerves must be failing, Naruto thought as a small smile began to from under his mask. Or perhaps I just got lucky. 2. After a few moments Naruto stood up and began to walk towards the motionless Pikachu. Intent on finishing what he started, Naruto once again began to raise his left hand. As Naruto's hand descended, the Pikachu didn't move at all. The Pokeball left Naruto's hand at a very high pace, speeding right for the Pikachu. The ball made contact with the Pikachu's tail, but before it opened the Pikachu's eyes snapped open. The Pikachu backflipped while cradling the ball in its tail. The motion caused the Pokeball to be launched high into the air. Once the ball left the Pikachu's tail, Naruto was upon it. Naruto attacked with a sweeping kick, but the Pikachu dodged it by jumping. Before Naruto could follow up, he was forced to block the Pikachu's tail. The Pikachu sent an electric current through its tail, which shocked Naruto's arms. The shock caused Naruto to recoil just enough for the Pikachu to hit the right side of Naruto's ribcage with its tail. Naruto stumbled to the left, with his arms hanging limply at his sides. Naruto regained his balance just as the Pikachu attempted to headbutt him in the chest. Naruto sidestepped the Pikachu's attack and was able to kick the Pikachu straight up. The Pikachu recovered quickly and dived towards Naruto. With his arms currently numb, Naruto stepped out of the Pikachu's range and roundhouse kicked the Pikachu in its left side. Naruto followed up by dropkicking the Pikachu as it flew above the ground. The impact between the Pikachu and the ground caused a shockwave that kicked up all the ash that was occupying the crater. The ash caused the air to grow very dark, obscuring Naruto's view. Naruto was just about to approach the spot where he saw the Pikachu land when the Pikachu suddenly appeared in front of his face, ready to strike. With no defense, Naruto braced himself for the attack, but as if on cue, Naruto's Pokeball hit the Pikachu on the head and surrounded it in a red light. The Pikachu was converted into red particles, then sucked into the Pokeball before it could attack Naruto. The Pokeball hit the ground with a small thud, shook 5 times, and then stayed completely still. "Engage the target now," the female voice ordered over the communicator. "Understood." The 2 male voices responded simultaneously as they leapt through the trees. Within the thick black cloud of ash, Naruto picked up the Pokeball containing his new Pikachu. Suddenly Naruto spun around on his heel and backflipped away from a volley of condensed water balls. Sensing oncoming danger, Naruto turned around and ran away. When Naruto got to a safe distance, he looked to his left to see multiple hazy figures appear through the ash-filled air and make their way towards his position. These people are not skilled in concealing their aura. Naruto mused as the figures continued to approach at a rather fast pace. Even with my lack of knowledge in the use of aura, I was able to sense them before they could make their move. They must not be very skilled, but I am still too weak to fight them in my current state. And with no Pokemon engaged, I would have a low chance of winning. But that thought, Naruto quickly spun around and started to sprint in the other direction. A few minutes later, Naruto glanced behind him to see the group from before was hot on his heels. Before Naruto could think of a way to lose them, he had to sidestep another barrage of water balls. Then Naruto had to avoid a kunai knife that was thrown at him from the fast approaching group. They're catching up. There isn't any cover to hide in, and by the time I make it to the forest they already would have caught up. Seeing as the group is obviously hostile, I suppose I only have one choice. Naruto thought as he snatched an oncoming kunai out of the air, spun on his heel, and prepared to defend himself. The group was upon him as soon as he turned to face them. One attacker pulled out a kunai of his own and attempted to stab Naruto in the chest. Naruto deflected the attack towards the ground with his own kunai, which caused the man to stumble. Naruto followed up by kneeing the attacker in the face, knocking the attacker on his back. Soon after, Naruto was forced to crouch to avoid a horizontal slash at his neck made by another attacker. While in his crouch, Naruto kicked the attacker's legs out from under him, but before he could follow up he had to somersault away from a dropkick. As soon as Naruto got out of the somersault, he had to backflip away from a roundhouse kick aimed at his chest. When Naruto finished his backflip, he immediately had to sidestep a stab at his stomach. When the attacker stumbled from lack of support, Naruto karate chopped her in the back of the neck. Once the unconscious body hit the ground, Naruto jumped over a sweeping kick. While Naruto was in the air, he deflected a kunai that was aimed for his stomach, but was blindsided by another bombardment of water balls. The balls slammed Naruto back into the ground and continued to hit him even after he collapsed. When the water balls finally stopped coming, Naruto slowly got up. I am currently too weak to win this fight. I need to distract them long enough to escape. Naruto pondered as he stuffed the kunai he got into his pocket. The group slowly began to approach Naruto again while they all equipped themselves with kunai. The man at the front of the group began to aim his kunai at Naruto, as did the others. I will succeed, Naruto thought just as the group launched their kunai. As the kunai approached, Naruto quickly pulled out a scroll from his person and unrolled it. Then Naruto bit the end of his thumb and smeared blood across the scroll. Naruto's actions caused a cloud of smoke to appear that obscured Naruto and the approaching kunai from view. Flashes of metal were heard within the cloud and sparks flashed through the air. After the sounds died down, Naruto rushed out of the cloud, wielding his 2 katanas as if he had held them his whole life. The leader of the group charged at Naruto with a new kunai out and they meet about 5 feet ahead of the group. The man horizontally slashed at Naruto's chest with his kunai. Naruto deflected the attack to the left with a left sword, causing the man to stumble. Naruto followed up by horizontally slashing the man's right side with his right sword, then jumping off the man's head towards the oncoming group. While he was in the air, Naruto preformed a front flip and slashed 2 attackers horizontally across the chest with each sword. When Naruto made contact with the ground, he rolled forward and jammed both swords into one attacker's gut. Naruto swiftly removed his swords and sidestepped a stab from behind. This caused the attacker to stumble forward. Once the attacker stumbled in front of Naruto, Naruto vertically slashed the attacker's back with his right sword. At this point in the battle, Naruto's body was covered in a thin, yet visible, layer of light blue aura. Another attacker attempted to stab Naruto from behind. Naruto sidestepped the attacker and vertically slashed the attacker's raised arm with his right sword. Then Naruto followed up with a roundhouse kick to the attacker's side. The next attacker also approached Naruto from behind and tried to stab Naruto in the back. Naruto crouched, causing the attacker to trip over him. As the attacker fell, Naruto diagonally slashed the attacker's chest with his left sword. Before Naruto could get up, he was kicked inside of the head. Naruto rolled with the kick, slightly cushioning the blow, and, in one fluid motion, climbed to his feet and vertically slashed through an incoming water ball. Another attack charged at Naruto from behind, but Naruto flipped the attacker over his shoulder into the path of the water balls. The balls hit the attacker in the back and propelled him into an oncoming attacker. Naruto began to search the area for the cause of the water balls when he saw a small speck of tan behind some bushes in the forest nearby. Naruto turned around and horizontally slashed the oncoming attacker across the chest with his right sword. Naruto grabbed the attacker's kunai and roundhouse kicked him into another oncoming attacker. Naruto spun around and threw the kunai straight at the tan speck. The kunai flew straight and true, and in a few seconds a loud scream echoed through the forest. The scream caused one of Naruto's attackers to hesitate just long enough for Naruto to stab the attacker in the chest with his left sword. Naruto removed his sword from the attacker's body and slammed his knee into the attacker's gut. At this point in the battle, Naruto was surrounded by visible wisps of aura that acted like an invisible force field. The pebbles around Naruto's form shook violently as the aura swirled. The time has come, Naruto thought while sheathed his gold sword. Naruto focused his stored aura into his right hand and ball of swirling aura began to take shape. The ball was light blue in color and inside it white wisps swirled violently, trying to escape the confines of the ball-shaped prison. Seeing the danger of the attack, the leader of the group stumbled onto his feet and charged at Naruto. Naruto rolled under the man's horizontal slash and sweep kicked the man's legs. As the man fell, Naruto stabbed his left sword into the man's back, causing the front end of the sword to exit through the front of the man. Naruto removed his sword from the man's back and stood back up. The ball in Naruto's right hand was now fully formed and it was the size of a beach ball. Naruto closed his eyes and prepared himself for what he knew was about to come. The group surrounded him and charged from all sides. Naruto's eyes snapped open and he slammed the ball against the ground. Well, he said a word the survivors wouldn't soon forget. Rasengan. The resulting explosion leveled everything within a 20-foot radius. Once the move was complete, Naruto didn't even look back, he just stumbled into the forest. As Naruto began to run from his attackers, he looked at the damage that his move caused. The black crater full of as he was fighting at was now a tan color and the ash polluted the majority of the forest. When Naruto was 5 feet into the forest, he quickly stopped and looked at a large tree. It wasn't the tree that Naruto was interested in though, it was what was under it. At the base of the tree a battered Pidgey laid on the ground immobilized and hardly breathing. Naruto looked up, but he didn't see any flock of Pidgey for miles. Naruto took another glance at the beaten Pidgey and removed a scroll from somewhere in his cloak, perfectly clean cloak. Naruto released a Pokeball from the scroll and promptly threw it at the Pidgey. The Pokeball hit its target and Pidgey was sucked in. When the ball hit the ground it didn't even shake once. Naruto picked up the Pokeball and began to run into the forest once again. Naruto was stumbling every few feet from exhaustion and blurry vision, but he continued to press on. In 30 minutes Naruto spotted a village through the trees. Naruto ran towards the town with an extra burst of speed, but a few seconds after he got through the gates, he heard sirens behind him. With the Pokemon Center in sight, Naruto was reluctant to stop, but did nonetheless. Officer Jenny sped by Naruto on her motorcycle. As soon as he stopped, she slammed on the brakes, but still slammed through the doors to the Pokemon Center. After hearing a bit of yelling, Naruto saw Officer Jenny walk out of the Pokemon Center without her motorcycle this time. "Excuse me young man, but I'm going to see some ID. You were running 50 in a 20 zone and on top of that you were swerving all over the street." Officer Jenny joked. She got nothing from Naruto though. Not even a chuckle. "But seriously, I will need to see some identification," Officer Jenny said. "We have been having some shady people enter this town and had to increase security. Why, just the other day a boy." Before Officer Jenny could begin her rant, Naruto handed her his Pokédex. "Oh, well, you know more than the other trainer did. He came here and nearly had a heart attack when I accused him of poaching. I had to drive," Officer Jenny began. "Can I leave now, Officer Jenny?" Naruto asked in his usual calm voice. "Of course you can, Naruto," Officer Jenny said as she gave Naruto's Pokédex back after listening to the recording. Just when Naruto was about to leave, Officer Jenny finished her sentence. "But I don't know if I let you." After her joke, Officer Jenny stared at Naruto for a response. "Edit, you said can, not may," Officer Jenny said after a while. "Ingenious, may I go now?" Naruto asked. "Fine," Officer Jenny said. "But I am going to have to escort you to the Pokemon Center. I don't want you speeding again." Naruto and Officer Jenny entered the Pokemon Center a few seconds later to see Nurse Joy and Chansey pushing Officer Jenny's motorcycle into the parking lot. "Why didn't you just drive it into the parking lot?" Officer Jenny asked as she watched the two medics struggle with the bike. "You know very well that I hate motorcycles," Nurse Joy responded. "They are very unsafe. What if you fell off, then you would end up in here healing with a Pokemon." "Excuse me, Nurse Joy," Naruto interrupted. "Oh, sorry about that," Nurse Joy said as she got and stretched her back. "How may I help you?" "I need you to heal my Pokemon," Naruto said as he began to walk towards the counter. 3 feet away from the counter, Naruto stumbled a bit but quickly recovered. Are you alright?" Nurse Joy asked, concerned. "Yeah, I'm fine, I just tripped," Naruto said as he waved off Officer Jenny, who was prepared to catch him. "If you say so," Nurse Joy reluctantly said as she took Naruto's Pokeballs. "Why don't you just sit down for now, just in case?" Officer Jenny suggested while she pointed to the benches lining the right wall of the lobby. Naruto knew it was more of a order than a suggestion, so he quietly began to approach the benches. Halfway to the benches, Naruto's vision began to get extremely blurry. "Not now," Naruto thought as he began to stumble a bit. "I can't collapse here. If I make it to the benches, it would just look like I fell asleep." While Naruto was struggling to get to the benches, Officer Jenny and Nurse Joy were engaged in their own conversation. "So why did you decide to follow this young man here?" Nurse Joy asked. "Well, when he ran into town as fast as he did, I knew something had to be up. Also, the way he was stunned." Before Officer Jenny could finish her sentence, she heard a thud to her right. Both Nurse Joy and Officer Jenny looked over to see Naruto begin to collapse just inches away from the benches. "Darn it," Naruto thought as his world turned black. "So close. You failed. Well, that is disappointing, now isn't it?" the female voice said over the communicator. "It's worse than that, ma'am," one male voice replied. "Half of Omega Team is either seriously wounded or dead. Omega Team's officer was killed and our scout lost his hand." "Well, that is very disappointing indeed. Why is it that I have no record of the Omega Team releasing their Pokemon?" the female asked. "I'm not sure," the man responded. "It's because they didn't. Maybe if the Omega Team had thought at all, they wouldn't have been annihilated. Now I want Omega Team to have a new leader by tomorrow morning. I want you to engage the Neo by afternoon tomorrow, and I want to hear that you have captured the Neo by sundown tomorrow. If that is not done, then you best be dead, is that clear?" the woman asked in a surprisingly calm voice. "Crystal," the man gulped. "Perfect," the female said as she cut the link. Last time on The Rise of Chaos. Naruto left Pallet Town in search of his first Pokemon. After a few minutes of searching, Naruto came across the Pikachu he saw the other day. Naruto tried to capture the Pikachu while it was sleeping, but he failed and soon engaged the Pikachu. The following battle was a long one, but Naruto came out the victor in the end and captured the Pikachu as his first Pokemon. Soon after Naruto caught Pikachu, a strange group of people confronted him. Naruto attempted to run, but he was too tired and was forced to fight. Naruto was finally able to escape the battle by slamming a Rasengan into the ground. On his way out of the battlefield, Naruto stumbled upon an injured Pidgey. Naruto captured the Pidgey and made his way to the nearest Pokemon Center. In front of the Pokemon Center, Naruto met Officer Jenny, who escorted him in. When Naruto got to the Pokemon Center, he handed his Pokemon to Nurse Joy. Soon after, Naruto blacked out in front of the benches in the lobby. Naruto's eyes slowly began to open to reveal nothing but black. Naruto looked around and discovered that he was laying in the middle of a black void. Naruto climbed to his feet and began to walk in search of anything besides the never-ending black. "Naruto Uzumaki." A booming voice echoed through the darkness. Naruto looked around, but he saw no sign of life. Naruto closed his eyes and tried to channel his aura, but soon found out that he had none. "You are this world's last hope for freedom," the voice continued. "Only you will be able to defeat the organization that threatens to rise to power." "What do you mean?" Naruto called out through the darkness, seemingly calm. "How do you know my name, and who are you?" "It is your destiny to defeat the evil organization and free the people of this world from their grasp," the voice called out again. "You must free this world from this organization's invisible hand." "What organization do you speak of?" Naruto asked. "And how am I involved?" "All will be explained in due time, Naruto Uzumaki," the voice exclaimed as the empty void around Naruto began to turn every color imaginable. "You must save this world, but you cannot do it alone. You must find loyal friends that will accompany you through your journey." The colors around Naruto began to swirl and spin, while images of people began to form. The friends you make will not only help you defeat the rising evil, but they will also help you discover who you really are. The voice declared while the forms began to dissipate. But know that these friends will not be invincible. They will cause you to make life-altering decisions for the sake of this world. At this time a large army of completely black soldiers began to march towards Naruto, turning everything in their path black once more. As the soldiers got closer, Naruto turned around and began sprinting in the opposite direction. You are the only one that can save this world from the apocalypse that is to come. The voice boomed from all directions. Save this world, you are their only hope for freedom. The voice boomed while Naruto collapsed to his knees. These people are ignorant to the destruction that is to come. The voice declared. Bring them salvation as their invisible savior. Bring them salvation as Naruto Shadowshock. The voice exclaimed as two huge red eyes appeared in front of Naruto, causing him to black out. Naruto's eyes snapped open to reveal a white room. Naruto sat up from his laying position and examined the room. Naruto saw that he was laying on what looked to be a hospital bed. Hospital equipment lined the room, totally white room, and a small sink was the only thing that stood out. Naruto looked to his right to see he was strapped to a machine that measured his heartbeat. However, Naruto's attention was soon taken away from his surroundings when he heard the door begin to creak open. Nurse Joy walked into the room, focused intently on a clipboard she carried. It's good to see you're awake, Naruto. Nurse Joy said happily when she finally looked up from the clipboard. You have been out for a while. How are you feeling? I'm fine. Naruto replied. I don't even know why I bother. Nurse Joy said, obviously annoyed. I should have known you would say that after yesterday. Honestly, you were in worse shape than even your Pokemon. I feel fine, Nurse Joy. Naruto stated in his usual calm voice. I heal faster than average. Well, we'll just see about that. Nurse Joy said as she approached the equipment along the right wall of the room. Nurse Joy jotted down a few notes on her clipboard as she examined the equipment. Vital signs are normal breathing, as even Nurse Joy mumbled to herself. After a few more minutes, Nurse Joy finally turned around again. Well, Naruto, everything seems to be in order, you're free to go. Here are your Pokemon, Naruto, be more careful next time. Nurse Joy reported happily while she handed Naruto his 2 Pokeballs. But just to be on the safe side, Officer Jenny will be escorting you through the city. Thank you, I appreciate it. Naruto said as he got off his hospital bed. Naruto exited the room into a long gray hallway. I have a feeling today is going to be a long day. Naruto thought as he began to walk down the hall. Halfway down the hall, Naruto absent-mindedly stuck his hands in his pocket. What's this? Naruto wondered when he felt something cold rub against his hand. Naruto pulled his hand out of his pocket to reveal a kunai. The kunai gleamed in the hall's lights and clearly reflected an image of Naruto's face. The blade of the kunai was pure black, while the handle was a dark blue color. Naruto flipped the kunai over and inscribed on the back of the blade was a series of markings, completely alien to Naruto. Where did I get this? Naruto asked himself. Suddenly all of yesterday's events came rushing back into Naruto's mind. That's right, I had a fight with that group, but I don't even remember what they looked like. Naruto thought. I must have been really exhausted if I can't even remember who I was fighting. Naruto spun the kunai around a few more times, pondering his next course of action. After several seconds, Naruto put the kunai back in his pocket and continued down the hall. When Naruto got to the end of the hall, he entered the main lobby of the Pokemon Center. There he was greeted by Officer Jenny. Hello, Naruto, glad to see you're awake. Officer Jenny said. You were out for quite a while. How long was I unconscious? Naruto asked. About 18 hours. Officer Jenny answered. You were in pretty bad shape. I suppose. What time is it now? Naruto questioned. It's about 9:15, why? Officer Jenny asked. I wanted to go to a library. Do you happen to know where the nearest one is? Naruto asked. Do I look like a computer to you? Officer Jenny jokingly responded. Do I have to answer that? Naruto asked, obviously not understanding the joke. Ugh, you're hopeless. Officer Jenny said as she threw up her hand. Whatever. Anyway, you're in luck, Naruto. Viridian City just got its first library only a few days ago. Not all the books have arrived yet, so it's not quite up to snuff, but I'm sure they'll have the book you're looking for. I personally guarded all the trucks that were shipping the books here, and might I say there was a lot. Though I don't know why I was assigned to guard book shipments. You wouldn't think that a criminal would want to steal books unless it was a smart criminal. But then again, if they were smart they would be criminals. Can you take me to the library please, Officer Jenny? Naruto asked, cutting her off mid-rant. Oh, sure, Naruto. Officer Jenny replied, finally snapping back to reality. Officer Jenny led Naruto outside to the front of the Pokemon Center, where he was hit full force with the sun's mid-morning rays. Naruto looked back at the Pokemon Center and noticed that half of the semicircle roof was blown off, with only a few steel support beams still in their place. What happened? Naruto asked as he continued to study the hole in the roof. You mean you didn't notice that yesterday? Officer Jenny asked, mildly surprised. I was tired. Naruto partially explained. Oh, well anyway I actually began this story yesterday. 3 thieves from Team Rocket came here one day before you arrived. A young man and his Pikachu were able to stop them from stealing the Pokemon in the Pokemon Center, but in the process he blew the thieves through the roof. Officer Jenny explained. I see. Naruto said simply. Yeah, it's a good thing the construction workers decided to stay here for a little bit after they finished the library. With them around that roof should be patched up in no time. Officer Jenny said. That's convenient. Naruto said. Quite. Officer Jenny said, her mind obviously elsewhere. Naruto looked at Officer Jenny to see she was staring at something. Naruto followed her eyes to a white and blue motorcycle with a small sidecar of similar colors. The motorcycle was resting against a bike rack across the street. Before Naruto could say anything, Officer Jenny suddenly yelled to the motorcycle. Officer Jenny proceeded to grab Naruto by the hand and run at amazing speeds toward the motorcycle. Before Naruto could protest, Officer Jenny threw him into the sidecar, hopped onto the motorcycle, and slammed down on the gas pedal, all in one fluid motion. The loud screeching sound echoed through the city as the motorcycle sped through the streets. 2 minutes later the motorcycle came to a halt right outside the city library. Naruto got out of the cramped sidecar looking the slightest bit annoyed. Well, here we are. Officer Jenny stated, pointing at the building. This is the Viridian City Library. The library was quite distinctive from the other buildings in the city. The architect of the library was like that of temples Naruto had seen previously. There were 4 towers that sprouted out from each corner of the library, and the building itself was much longer than it was wide. There were also many multicolored windows that covered the length of the building. The windows looked like they were shattered and then put back together again. Each little pane of glass was a different color from the others around it, except for the middle. In the middle of the window a pink form seemed to stand out through all of the colors. Is that Mew? Naruto muttered to himself, catching Officer Jenny's attention. Why yes, that is Mew, the being that is said to have gave birth to all the Pokemon. The architects decided to include Mew in the structure because it is believed that Mew is very knowledgeable, on the verge of all-knowing. Officer Jenny explained. It's kind of hard to believe though. After all, how can a Pokemon that cute be so wise? But then again, Mew probably did learn a number of things, being as old as it is. Well anyway, are you ready to go in? Naruto simply nodded in confirmation and followed behind Officer Jenny into the library. Officer Jenny opened the massive doors leading into the library and rush of cold air hit overcame Naruto's senses. Welcome to the Viridian City Library. A formal feminine voice greeted. Naruto looked to his right to see a virtual woman standing near the entrance of the library. What is that? Naruto asked Officer Jenny. That is Alka, the library's AI, and your virtual guide. Officer Jenny said, proudly. The library had her installed in place of the usual librarians. Why? Naruto asked. Well, you see, the population as a whole is too small to support the many jobs we have now. So, because it usually takes many years to train a librarian and not many people want the job, scientists have created AIs to do the job instead. Since the Viridian City Library was built so recently, it was one of the first libraries to have an AI installed. Soon all the libraries you come across will contain an AI. Officer Jenny explained. I see. Naruto responded. Also, since we are on the subject, ask Alka if you need help on anything. Meanwhile I'll be in the fiction aisle. Officer Jenny said as she began to walk away. Come and get me when you're done. With that, Officer Jenny rounded a corner and disappeared from sight. Naruto used the newfound silence to focus and look around the inside of the library. The library was dimly lit, yet you could see everything as clear as always. Huge shelves, full of books, covered the entire spacey interior of the library. The light coming in from the Mew windows inscribed colorful pictures of Mew all over the dark green carpet floor. Only a few dark oak tables broke the almost never-ending row of shelves, allowing for readers to sit down to study or enjoy their book. May I be of assistance? Alka asked, interrupting any further inspection of the building. Alka's body was a dark purple color, with a few thick light blue lines that ran across her body in a strange pattern. She was also dressed in a formal, long red robe that covered her body, from a few inches below her neck bottom to a few inches above her red shoes. Where can I find history books? Naruto asked. History books can be found in Section B4. Section B of the Viridian City Library is located down the right corridor of the nearest intersection. Alka answered. Naruto wasted no time in following Alka's instructions. He passed lots of books on famous people, legendary Pokemon, and ancient technologies on as he browsed the many aisles of section B4. Eventually Naruto came upon just what he was looking for. The book was titled Pre-Salvation Languages. Naruto removed the huge book from its resting place on the shelf and brought it to the nearest table. Naruto took out the kunai that was in his pocket, but before he began his research, he began to focus his aura. Hours passed, and Naruto was still sitting at the same table. Books of all sizes and colors surrounded him. The curve following the jagged edge represents the water that flows through magma. Naruto mumbled to himself as he studied a small book to his right while he ran his fingertips along the strange kunai. What word could these two opposite substances be used to form? Naruto mumbled as he scanned the pages of the book. After flipping through a few pages Naruto found the paragraph he was looking for. But he soon found out the information wasn't enough. Sighing, Naruto leaned back in his chair and put the kunai back in his pocket. He reached over a few books and retrieved a small notebook. After jotting down a few notes Naruto was just about to close his notebook when a voice emanated from over his shoulder. "Well, it looks like you've been busy," the familiar voice said. Naruto jumped a bit from the sudden noise. He turned around to see Officer Jenny looking at all the books piled up on the table. "I really have to train with my aura," Naruto thought. "I hate being surprised." "So, what have you been working on all this time?" Officer Jenny asked. "I've been trying to translate an ancient text I discovered," Naruto replied. "I see. Have you translated it?" Officer Jenny asked. "No. Just a few bits and pieces here and there, but not enough to give me any clue as to what it means," Naruto answered as he began to put the books away. "What have you translated then?" Officer Jenny inquired. Seeing no harm in letting her know, Naruto answered. "The calm storm causes the sea to rage, while the raging storm keeps the sea at peace. Destruction can overtake the land, but it brings life in its wake. Order must be overtaken by chaos to keep a world at peace, just as water flowing through magma will just disrupt the flow." "That sounds pretty deep," Officer Jenny commented. "It sounds like something out of a prophecy." "Indeed," Naruto replied. "Well, there's no use dwelling on it. Do you want to go anywhere else before you leave Viridian City?" Officer Jenny asked. "I would like to go to the Pokemart," Naruto said. "That's just down the street," Officer Jenny whined. "You're no fun at all." After an uneventful walk across the street from the library, Naruto and Officer Jenny entered Pokemart. Naruto browsed the aisles and ended up leaving the store with 5 potions, 10 Pokeballs, various status healer items, and a few books on Pokemon. "I'm ready to leave, Officer Jenny," Naruto said as they left the store. "That's too bad. I was getting used to your company, even if you are the most boring person I ever met," Officer Jenny teased. Naruto ignored the comment and began walking toward the city exit. "This is exactly what I mean," Officer Jenny raged while she followed Naruto. "You disrespect the glorious horsepower of my almighty motorcycle." 10 minutes later Naruto and Officer Jenny stood at the entrance of Viridian City with the sun hanging high in the afternoon sky. "Well, I suppose this is where we must part ways," Officer Jenny said in a professional manner. "It was nice meeting you, Naruto." "Likewise, Officer Jenny," Naruto replied as he exited Viridian City. "I should have expected this. He needs to learn how to talk more," Officer Jenny mumbled to herself as she began to walk back into the city. The sun was just beginning its descent when Naruto stopped walking. Naruto was in a small, dark clearing in the middle of the Viridian forest, surrounded by larger than average oak trees. Naruto brought Pikachu and Pidgey out from their Pokeballs and began to explain their duties. "It is time for you to begin your training," Naruto began. "Starting 3 days from now you will begin training by running or flying 10 laps around the perimeter of the designated training area. But today I just want you to do 5 laps around this clearing with a gravity seal placed on you." Naruto stopped his speech to examine Pikachu and Pidgey. They seemed to know what he was saying, so he continued. "Once it is put on, the seal will cause the force of gravity acting on your body to double," Naruto explained. "As your body gets used to the extra force, the seal will automatically adjust by gradually increasing the force of gravity. Also, the seal is only to be turned off upon my instruction." Naruto once again stopped to make sure his Pokemon understood. They seemed to be a little edgy, but still looked like they were comprehending. "I'll start with you, Pikachu," Naruto said. Pikachu took a few slightly shaky steps toward Naruto and braced itself. Naruto crouched down and removed a small brush from one of the many storage places located around his body. Slowly and carefully Naruto began to draw an intricate pattern onto Pikachu's chest. Once he was finished, Naruto placed his brush on the ground, placed both his hands on Pikachu's chest. "Make sure to brace yourself, Pikachu," Naruto warned. "The pressure will not come all at once, but if you're not careful it may force you to your knees." Pikachu gave a slight nod, placed its arms close to its chest, and tilted its head down towards its chest. Once Naruto thought Pikachu was ready, he began to channel his aura into the pattern. The pattern began to glow a light blue color in response. Pikachu began to feel the pressure on its body increase and continued to stand firm. A few seconds later, without warning, the pattern radiated intense lustrous light and seemed to be absorbed into Pikachu. And it was over as soon as it began. Pikachu fell on its butt slightly panting, while Naruto had small beads of sweat forming on his forehead. This is pathetic. Naruto thought. My control over aura is nowhere near the control I had over chakra. It's like I'm starting all over again. After a few minutes of rest, Naruto repeated the process with Pidgey. Pidgey however nearly collapsed after the seal was placed on it. There has been a change of plans. Naruto said as he got up. You only have to do 3 laps around the clearing after you have 5 minutes of rest. Pikachu and Pidgey looked grateful, but they were too tired to express it aside from their faces. Elsewhere, Omega Team ran through the forest at top speed. Hurry up. The leader yelled back to the group behind him. We're already behind schedule, if we delay any longer we will die even if we do get our target. Sir, yes sir. The group chorused as they picked up the pace. How's Delta Team Scout? The leader asked over his communicator. He is in some discomfort but he can still do his job. A voice responded. Good. The leader mumbled as he ran faster. How far away is the target? About 2 kilometers. Another voice reported. Perfect. The leader said. Omega Team let's move out. Sir. They yelled as they followed. Good job you two. Naruto said to Pikachu and Pidgey from his perch on a high tree branch. He glanced at the setting sun and gracefully jumped down, landing almost soundlessly on the lush grass. We'll camp here for the night. Pidgey and Pikachu collapsed in front of Naruto and didn't make any effort to get up. As Naruto looked at the two old memories returned, causing a small smile to form under his mask. Naruto pulled out a scroll from under his cloak and released its contents, causing a tent and a sleeping bag to appear. Stay here. Naruto ordered his Pokemon. I'm going to get some firewood. Naruto's Pokemon had no problem complying, as neither of them moved a muscle. A small smile reappeared under Naruto's mask as he made his way away from camp. After about a minute Naruto stopped and removed a scroll from under his cloak. We're almost to the target. A voice said over the communicator. You should see him any second. Good. The leader said. Is Delta Team ready? No, it's nearly impossible to provide support with all of these trees. An annoyed voice said. Who cares, it's not like we'll need your help anyway. The leader said. Well, judging by the last battle we fought against this guy, you're going to need all the help you can get. The voice replied. That was only because I wasn't the leader. The leader didn't get to finish his sentence though because a kunai made its way through his neck. We're under Adagao, a man began, but was quickly silenced by a kunai into his chest. Everyone stick together. A Omega Team member said. The Omega Team members began to huddle together before they were picked up by incoming kunai. This is Delta Team. We lost our scout and our leader. We need immediate backup, a man tried to say over the communicator. How can Delta Team be under attack too? A Omega Team member questioned. They're at least 3 kilometers away. I don't know, but before we worry about that, we have to worry about whatever is attacking us first. Another said. I have a plan. Another said grimly. Since it seems to only pick out people that are away from the group, we could send someone out as Ba. However, he never got to finish his sentence because a kunai made its way into the back of her skull. We're getting nowhere and we keep on losing allies by the second. One man yelled. Hey, wait a second, what is that? Another man asked, pointing at their dead teammate. The whole group looked down at the kunai to see that a burning tag was attached to the kunai by a small wire. That looks familiar. A woman said as she thought about it. Wait. Didn't we see something like this in training? I think you're right. A man said as his eyes grew wide in sudden realization. Everyone scatter. Only a total of 7 people were able to escape the explosion that followed. They each regrouped behind a few bushes in what they deemed worthy cover. We need to do something and fast. A man said hastily. You're right. Another man yelled as he jumped out of the bushes. What? A female yelled. Before the man could even turn around, he was impaled through the neck by another kunai. I saw where it came from. A man said. Everyone follow me. The group jumped from their cover and charged through the trees toward what they assumed was their attacker's hiding place. There's no hiding now, you coward. The man leading the group yelled at the trees while he removed a kunai from his pocket. Show yourself. Before the man could yell anymore, he ran straight into a wire. The wire connected with his neck and snapped. The man recoiled in response and choked a great deal. Get away. Another man yelled as he tackled the letter out of the way from the barrage of kunai that rained down from the trees. The leader quickly pried himself out of the other man's grasp and began to run back to help his teammates. But it was too late. The man watched as every one of his teammates collapsed onto the grass, dyed red with their own blood. No. The man whimpered in disbelief. The man quickly turned around to see his last teammate, the one that saved him, be impaled through the chest with a kunai. The body slowly fell face first onto the grass to reveal their attacker. You. The last member of the Omega team screamed enraged. You did this? Indeed. The attacker replied calmly as he approached the shivering man. I am sorry about your losses. I'm sure a lot of your friends were on this team. But don't worry, you will be joining them shortly. Like heck I will. The man yelled in defiance as he drew 3 pokeballs from his pocket. The attacker's eyes widened almost unnoticeably at the man's actions. The man threw the pokeballs and from them came a Zubat, a Machop, and a Geodude. Alright, everyone, attack this man. But make sure to leave him alive, he is our target after all. The man sneered. The man's Pokemon quickly jumped into action and ganged up on Naruto. Machop tried to do a sweeping kick on Naruto, but Naruto jumped over it. Zubat attacked Naruto with a wing attack. Naruto responded by grabbing Zubat's wing and throwing Zubat into an oncoming rock, courtesy of Geodude. Naruto landed and backflip kicked Machop in the face before he sidestepped another rock thrown by Geodude. Naruto then grabbed onto Zubat's wings before it could successfully bite him. Naruto gracefully ducked under incoming jab from Machop and made Machop's arm enter Zubat's mouth. Then Naruto punched Zubat's mouth shut and roundhouse kicked the 2 started Pokemon into a nearby oak tree. Soon after, Naruto caught Geodude before it could tackle him and the Geodude began to glow a dark yellow color in response. Naruto threw the Geodude at the still recovering Zubat and Machop and Geodude exploded right after it hit Machop in the face. The explosion caused the oak tree behind the 3 Pokemon to come down on 2 of them. Naruto jumped back away from the tree and began to gather aura. A dead silence filled the forest and all that could be heard was the faint breeze that rustled the trees. Suddenly a slight whistling noise made its presence known behind Naruto. Naruto spun around and grasped what seemed to be air. In the blink of an eye, a kunai handle made its way into Naruto's hand, with the blade only half an inch away from Naruto's face. If you allow me, I will make your death swift, Naruto stated. Silence once again overtook the dark forest, giving the scenery an ominous look. The silence was once again broken by the last living member of Omega Team. The man jumped out of a couple of bushes behind Naruto and charged at him full speed. You think I would give up that easy? He screamed as he approached. As the man made a wild stab for Naruto's back, Naruto countered. Naruto lifting his own kunai against the bottom of the man's kunai, causing the man's kunai to slide against Naruto's and throw the man off balance. Naruto followed up by spinning on his heel and impaling the man through the stomach. Thanks for giving me the chance, may you rest in peace, Naruto whispered into the man's ear. As soon as Naruto finished his sentence, he removed his kunai from the man's gut and allowed him to fall onto his back. Naruto took a deep breath while he looked at the carnage he caused around the forest. The only major damage he saw was the tree that fell from Geodude's explosion. Suddenly a rustling sound came from the tree and Zubat, Geodude, and Machop stumbled out from under it. They looked around for a bit before their eyes fell on Naruto. Before they could attack, Naruto picked up their Pokeballs from the Omega member and recalled them all back. Naruto looked at the Pokeballs for a bit before he pressed a button on each of the Pokeballs. His actions caused a blue light to come out of the Pokeball's middle button, releasing Zubat, Machop, and Geodude from their place in the Pokeball's hard drive. You're all free now, Naruto said to the startled Pokemon, causing them to look at him in disbelief. I am sorry, but your master can't take care of you anymore. You are free to go where you please. The Pokemon stared at him for a minute before they finally realized he was serious. They all looked relieved and gracious toward Naruto's news, but they didn't leave. Slowly and cautiously the Pokemon approached Naruto. They came closer and closer, watching his every movement. Then when they came to Naruto's feet, they shakily trudged past him and to their master's body. Once they got there, they poked around his waist and pulled 2 Pokeballs. Naruto examined the trio as they slowly nudged the Pokeballs to Naruto's feet and took up a totally submissive stance at his feet. It didn't take Naruto very long to figure out what they wanted and he willingly complied. Naruto grabbed the Pokeballs and released a Mankey and a Weedle from the Pokeballs in a brilliant blue light. The 2 Pokemon looked around for a bit before their eyes landed on their 3 companions. All the Pokemon cheered as they were once again reunited, causing a small smile to grace Naruto's lips. After the 5 Pokemon disappeared into the forest, Naruto walked to the next body he saw and released the Pokemon. Naruto repeated the process for every single Omega Team member. When he was done, Naruto took one last look back at the battlefield and disappeared back into the forest. When Naruto got to camp, he was greeted by a roaring fire and a fully set tent. Naruto walked up to the entrance of the tent just as one of his clones exited. Anything out of the ordinary? Naruto asked his clone. No, the Pokemon slept through the whole thing, the clone replied. What about the other enemy squad? Naruto asked. They were eliminated. The clone answered. And their Pokemon? Naruto asked. They were released into the wild upon their master's death. The clone reported. Good. Naruto said as the clone dispersed. Naruto entered the tent to see that Pikachu and Pidgey were sleeping in their own sleeping bags to the side of his. Naruto slowly climbed into his sleeping bag and allowed himself to drift into the dream world. Meanwhile, in an unknown location, a crucial meeting was being held in a dimly lit room. Sir. We lost connection with the squad you sent to capture the Neo. A man reported. That is unfortunate, isn't it? A familiar sinister voice calmly replied. What are your orders? A female voice asked. Send an elite to monitor his actions. There is no sense in losing another squad. The sinister voice ordered. But sir. Surely it would be easier to just use Alpha Sector 1 to deal with him now, before he gets too powerful. A male voice protested. Silence, peon. I have given my orders, it is your job to follow them. The sinister voice raged. Of course. I apologize for my outburst. The male voice mumbled. Your orders will be carried out immediately. Perfect. The sinister voice sneered. Last time on the Rise of Chaos. Naruto woke up in Viridian City's Pokemon Center after a strange dream. After being given the okay from Nurse Joy, Naruto met Officer Jenny in the Pokemon Center's lobby. Officer Jenny then escorted Naruto to the library, where he met Alka, the library's AI. After being guided to the history section of the library, Naruto began to study the kunai he got from his battle the day before. After a few hours of study, Naruto and Officer Jenny went to the Pokemart where Naruto got some supplies. Once he was finished, Officer Jenny escorted Naruto to the city gates where Naruto said his goodbyes and left. Later that day, Naruto set up camp in a small clearing in Viridian Forest. Then Naruto placed a gravity seal on Pidgey and Pikachu. After having them run 3 laps around the clearing, Naruto left them to rest while he went into the forest. In the forest, Naruto launched a surprise attack against the Omega team that he fought the previous day. After a brief battle with one of the Omega team members and his Pokemon, Naruto released all of the Omega team's Pokemon back into the wild. When Naruto got back to camp, he got word from his shadow clone that Delta team had been defeated and that their Pokemon had also been released. Once the clone dispersed, Naruto climbed into his sleeping bag and took a much-deserved rest. Once again, Naruto found himself in an endless void of pure darkness. It didn't take long for the booming voice he heard before to break the eerie silence that hung in the void. Though you may not have realized it yet, you have already begun to fight against the dark power that threatens to overtake this peaceful world. The voice said. The Dark Leader has grown wary of you, and even as we speak, he prepares his forces to fight the only one that can threaten his dreams of total domination you. Then how do I counter him? Naruto asked the voice. You must retaliate this evil leader with forces of your own. The voice replied. But I don't have anybody that is willing to fight with me. Naruto stated. Even my Pokemon are too weak to pose any threat against a powerful enemy. Then train them. The voice boomed. Train your Pokemon so they can pose a threat against even Arceus itself, for it will take nothing less to combat your true enemy. I don't have the knowledge or ability to train a worthy ally. Naruto replied. And even if I did, 2 Pokemon, no matter how strong, could stop an army. That is true. The voice agreed. But then that means you must expand your forces and create your own army. To do this, you must recruit your troops just like you recruited your Pokemon. And this army must not only contain Pokemon, but also humans trained in the ways of the ninja, so may rise against this world's impending doom. But that still leaves the problem of me being unable to train such an army. Naruto said. Then you must train yourself. The voice yelled in what seemed to be annoyance. You must train yourself before you may train others. I see. So how long do I have to do all this? Naruto asked. But even I do not know. The voice said as the void around Naruto began to consume him. The leader's dark forces may strike at any time, so be wary, kid. Kid. That was the last thing that ran through Naruto's mind before the darkness of the void overtook him. The gentle breeze blew through Naruto's tent, causing the tent flaps to flutter. Naruto opened his eyes and got out of his sleeping bag. Stepping onto the damp grass, Naruto performed a small stretch before he started to walk towards the entrance of the tent. Only a few dim rays of the early morning sunshine flowed in from the small hole in the front of the tent, illuminating the nearby grass with a dull yellow light. Naruto pushed the tent flaps aside and stepped outside into the Viridian Forest once more. Only a few thin rays of light were able to break through the dense canopy that covered the entire forest. Naruto rekindled the dead fire from last night and began his morning rituals of bathing, brushing his teeth, and preparing breakfast. Soon after Naruto's breakfast began to boil, Pikachu and Pidgey rushed out of the tent. Naruto wasted no time in getting 2 bowls out of one of his scrolls and filling it with some Pokemon food he got at the Pokemart. As soon as their bowls were on the grass, Pidgey and Pikachu began to stuff their faces. Naruto also poured himself a bowl of soup and began to eat. 30 minutes later Naruto, Pidgey, and Pikachu were inside a clearing a few meters south of their campsite. The clearing was a little bit larger than the one their campsite was in, but other than that there was no big difference. The clearing was just as dark and damp as their campsite. Begin training with 4 laps around the training area. Naruto's voice broke through the eerie silence that hung in the forest. With only the slightest bit of hesitation, Pidgey and Pikachu began to run laps around the clearing. Naruto monitored the 2 Pokémon as they sprinted around the clearing's edge. The grass rustled under Pikachu's feet as it ran, and the grass leaned into the ground as Pidgey passed over it from above. Naruto watched silently as the 2 Pokémon did their laps. After a little while Naruto formed a familiar hand seal and began to concentrate his aura. Soon after 5 clones poofed into existence and immediately started to run to the edge of the clearing. Pikachu and Pidgey looked curiously at the 5 new figures that resembled their trainer, but soon shrugged them off with indifference. After all, their trainer wasn't like most humans they encountered before. Once the clones reached the very edge of the clearing, they each stepped in front of their own separate oak tree and began to focus their chakra. Slowly each clone placed its foot on their tree and didn't move at all until the clone was sure it had a good foothold before it, then put its other foot on and repeated the process. Slowly but surely, each clone began to make its way up the large oak trees with nothing but their feet. As long as they each are able to continue to keep their footing on the tree, nothing else matters. Naruto thought as he watched his clone slowly ascend into the forest's dense canopy. Soon this will become second nature to them, and then speed will come with time. As soon as his clones disappeared into the forest's canopy, Naruto focused his attention on his 2 weary Pokémon. Because of their new gravity seals, Pikachu and Pidgey were extremely tired after their 4 laps. The 2 Pokémon stumbled up to Naruto and once again collapsed at his feet. "We'll continue training in 10 minutes, but for now rest," Naruto said to the 2 Pokémon, who seemed more than happy to comply. As his Pokémon rested, Naruto began his own training. After a few stretches Naruto prepared to run around the clearing. But before he began his sprint, Naruto decided to check on something that had been bothering him for a while now. Slowly Naruto began to concentrate his aura in hopes of trying to sense his target. Naruto soon found what he was looking for and forced himself to hold back a few undignified words that treated to explode from his mouth. Just as I feared, Naruto thought as he tried re-controlling his flaring emotions. The switch from chakra to aura upon my entrance into this world caused my gravity seal to be disrupted. Now it's only at level 5. Naruto thought with much distaste. This is going to take much longer than I initially expected. But then again I should have known, after all nothing in my life has been easy so far, why would it start now? Naruto's body tensed as he manually increased the seal's level to 7. Naruto stretched to get used to the sudden increase in weight. After a few stretches Naruto once again got in position to execute his stamina training. I better not hold back now, Naruto thought as he took his hands out of his pockets and lowered them onto the grass as he took position. If I do, then neither I nor this world will have a chance against this enemy. Naruto's fists began to grip the damp grass even tighter as he thought about the destruction his fight with the enemy had caused only a few days ago. With no warning whatsoever Naruto took off, uprooting the grass as soon as his foot left the ground. All the trees in the forest soon became a blur to Naruto as he dashed around the edge of the clearing. Naruto could feel the pressure of the gravity seal restricting his movements, but he knew that he would have to push himself beyond his limits. After all, if he didn't he couldn't call it training. The wind attempted to catch up to Naruto as he cut through it, causing a continuous rush of wind to form on the outside of the clearing. As for Naruto's Pokémon, they were dumbfounded. Not only was their trainer able to duplicate himself, but he could also move faster than them. He was very special indeed, they could learn a lot from him. Elsewhere in a peaceful field, a gentle breeze passed over the lush grass. As soon as the breeze passed, 2 figures were standing amongst the field. The 2 figures seemed to have a regal look about them, and they both carried themselves with pride. One man had perfectly straight gray hair that reached to the middle of his back. The man also wore a long-sleeved silver shirt with a black stripe running down the length of his sleeves. The man's pant design was very similar to his shirts, except the pants had a pouch that was located in the middle of the man's thigh. But the most notable feature was the man's deep purple eyes. The figure was a woman that donned gray silk shirt, which was covered by a lavender jacket. On the back of the shirt was a symbol of a red sword that was radiating a circle of blue flames, which covered the back of the jacket. The woman's pants seemed to be lavender as well. On her waist the woman had a long katana sheath that only exposed the black handle and dark blue, spiral handguard of her blade. The woman had dark blue hair that reached down to her neck and allowed 2 thick strands of hair to fall down and from her face. The woman's eyes were almost completely white, except for the slight lavender tint that shaded the inside of her eye, with no sign of a pupil. The man was the first to break the silence of the serene field. Has your lead informed you of your mission? The man questioned. He said that I was to shadow a possible threat, but he said to ask you for the details. The woman responded. Very well. You have been ordered to follow the new Neo that appeared on our scanners about 5 days ago. He is about 5.5 feet with yellow hair and dark purple eyes. He is known to always wear a mask that covers the bottom half of his face and a black cloak. The cloak covers all of his other clothes, so we have no description of any of his other attire. He is known to use 2 swords in battle, and we also received a report saying that he is able to create a ball of pure aura in his hand that can cause devastating area damage. The man explained. What is his name and where can I find him? The woman asked. We haven't yet been able to find out his name. But as for his location, we just lost contact with the Delta and an Omega team sent after him last night. Their last known location was about 5 miles into Viridian Forest from the Viridian City entrance, so I advise you look somewhere around there. That is assuming that he hasn't moved after his assault on the 2 teams, of course. The man informed. Understood. I will depart immediately. The woman said. I expect a report on his actions every 3 to 5 days. The man said. Of course. The woman said. But that the 2 seemed to phase out of existence with the passing breeze. Naruto watched from his perch on a tree branch as his 2 Pokemon trained for all they were worth. After Naruto had all but collapsed, his Pokemon looked at him eagerly awaiting their training. Naruto had told Pikachu to work on its control over electricity and aura, as well as a new combo that it could work on. As for Pidgey, Naruto had told it to work on its speed, stamina, and aura control. He also gave it a new technique to try. Naruto's mind began to gradually drift from his Pokemon to a schedule that he and his Pokemon could follow for the next few days. The schedule was as follows. 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. breakfast. 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. physical conditioning. 11 a.m. to 12 o'clock lunch. 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. aura manipulation training. 3 o'clock to 5 p.m. element manipulation training. 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. time to practice new techniques and master old ones. 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. dinner. After confirming his mental schedule, Naruto flipped open his Pokédex to look at the time. 11:23. Naruto thought as he put his Pokédex away and jumped back to the forest floor. I suppose we could eat lunch now and start the new schedule after that. Naruto left his Pokemon to their training and made his way back to the camp to prepare lunch. After lunch Naruto, Pikachu, and Pidgey began training their aura control. It had taken a while for Naruto to explain what aura was to his Pokemon, and it took even longer for them to be able to feel it, let alone control it. I suppose this is to be expected. Naruto thought as he watched his 2 Pokemon meditate. After all, it usually take the average ninja at least 3 months of training to have a minuscule amount of control. But, once they learn how to manipulate it, the control increases at a much faster rate. I think it will be no different for Pokemon, but since they seem to have a natural control, they will probably learn much quicker than a human. Naruto ended his musings when he noticed that his clones were at the base of their respective trees. Upon closer inspection Naruto realized that they had each used up almost all of the aura he had given them and they were beginning to dematerialize. Naruto stood up from his seat on the grass and dispelled his clones one by one, with 5-minute intervals between each dispel. Once he was done Naruto dropped to his knee and had sweat forming at his forehead. This is a bad sign. He thought as he tried to gain control of his breathing again. I can still take the mental strain of gathering the clones' memories, but the feeling of using all their aura fatigues my body much more than it did back in Konoha. Back then I had a resistance to the illusion of chakra drain the clones provided with their memories. But here it seems I will have to build up a new resistance to the aura. Naruto sighed as he finally gained control over his breathing. Naruto began to approach a nearby oak tree and stopped 10 feet in front of it. After taking a deep breath Naruto dashed at the tree. When Naruto ran out of grass he planted his foot on the trunk of the tree and continued his run with only a minimal amount of hesitation. Once Naruto entered the canopy, his sprint turned into a jog as he began to dodge the multitude of branches that blocked his path. After exiting the thick canopy, Naruto broke out in a renewed sprint but soon ran out of tree and was launched high into the crimson afternoon sky. Naruto relished the feel of the cold air as it rushed past his body, causing his cloak to shake violently as it stayed wrapped around his form. At the peak of his jump, Naruto seemed to stay suspended in the air as he stared at the setting sun. After what seemed like an eternity Naruto was sent plummeting back down into the forest. Before Naruto re-entered the canopy he took as deep a breath as he could and prepared himself for the second stage of his training. As soon as Naruto re-entered the canopy, he had to twist his body to avoid a collision with a thick tree branch. Right after that Naruto did a backflip and used his feet to push off of another branch mid-spin. Naruto continued to launch himself off of the branches, speeding his descent toward the damp ground below. Near the bottom of the canopy, Naruto had just dodged a rather thick branch and was about to jump off of another branch, but he used too much power and the branch snapped off the tree. This in turn caused Naruto to his footing and his control over his fall. With no way to change his path of descent, Naruto watched as a thick branch closed in on him, fast. Thinking quickly, Naruto sent a large pulse of aura towards the branch. The pulse tore leaves and branches from nearby trees as it made its way towards its target. As soon as the pulse passed over the branch was immediately reduced to nothing more than splinters. Once Naruto launched himself of one last branch, he landed softly on the forest floor. My control has defiantly improved, but I have a long way to go. I have yet to even to master the tree walking exercise. Naruto mused as he went over his performance in his head. I hesitated when I transferred from the ground to the tree trunk. Also, I had to slow down when I was forced to dodge the branches while running on the tree. Furthermore, I allowed myself to lose control when the branch snapped. And to add to that, I used way too much aura when I tried to evade the tree branch I was approaching. Naruto listed while he watched as his Pokemon attempted to control their aura, and it seemed that they were already able to move their aura in a slow crude motion. I should have known this would take a while for me. Naruto thought as he interrupted his Pokemon's meditation. After a quick break, Naruto and his Pokemon began to train their control over their respective elements. Naruto knew that his Pokemon had way more control over their element than any ninja ever did. Because of that, Naruto knew that the regular exercises that ninja did back in his world would be insignificant. So he decided to put them on their own elemental training regimens to up their control. After giving his Pokemon their instructions, Naruto watched in fascination as Pikachu ejected a small amount of electricity from its body and made it form short, simple patterns in the air. As time went on, Pikachu began to form more intricate and lengthy patterns. Naruto's focus soon drifted towards Pidgey, who was moving its body to guide the wind around it through an invisible obstacle course. Over time, the speed and power of the wind increased and more turns and dips were involved in their course. I better start training. Naruto thought as his eyes drifted towards the ground. Naruto and his 5 new clones bent over and picked up their own leaf off the forest floor to begin their training. 2 hours and numerous half-cut leaves later, Naruto dispersed all his clones and made one last attempt at cutting the leaf in his palm. Naruto closed his eyes and concentrated on making a sharp blade out of his aura, and sure enough, the leaf split by a small invisible blade of wind. Naruto gave a small sign of contentment as he watched the 2 pieces of the leaf float away in a small breeze that traveled through the silent forest. Naruto wiped away a bit of sweat that had formed on his forehead, and then he watched his Pokemon for a few minutes as they made their elements perform unbelievably complicated maneuvers through the air. Pidgey looked like it having problems simply staying airborne, while Pikachu was covered in sweat and was standing on shaky legs. Just a few seconds later, Pikachu's lightning bolt discharged in front of its face, causing it to fly backwards 3 feet and skid along the ground another foot. The sound of the discharge caused Pidgey to lose focus, and the condensed wind current it was controlling disbanded violently. This caused a small shockwave ripple through the air, knocking Pidgey out of the sky. After the series of accidents, Naruto treated his Pokemon for their injuries and allowed them to rest for 20 minutes. For the next 3.5 hours, Naruto gave his Pokemon 3 techniques to practice each, while he began to relearn all of his previously known techniques. Naruto found out long ago that hand signs were just used to assist in controlling the user's chakra, so he figured they would do exactly the same for aura. As the training went on, Naruto figured out that statement was spot on, and in an hour, with the help of a few clones, Naruto was able to learn to do the 3 basic ninja techniques without the help of hand signs. Naruto also found out that when he was trying to learn or create a new technique with the help of clones, he needed to update his clones on the progress one of his clones made during their training. This was because the clones needed to communicate the results of their training on a regular basis with each other. And until Naruto figured out how to create a mental link that he could use like a radio, he settled with dispersing a clone every 30 minutes to transfer the information to him and his clones. Naruto also discovered, back in Konoha, that there was no point in naming techniques, because if you yell out the name of the technique you're about to use, all it does is alert your opponent to your next attack. Except, of course, if you're in a Pokemon battle. Then you have to name your Pokemon's attack so they know what attack you want them to do. But other than that, everything he learned in Konoha is valid in this world. And with those 3 thoughts firmly placed in his mind, he continued his training. That is enough training for today. Naruto said to his Pokemon as he began to walk back to the camp. Pidgey and Pikachu took a quick glance at each other and raced after him. The unspoken message was quite clear. First one there gets bragging rights. Naruto gave a small, almost inaudible, chuckle when his 2 Pokemon flew past him on their way to camp. Pidgey was having some trouble dodging tree branches at the high speeds, and Pikachu was jumping from tree branch to tree branch with an impressive show of agility. I suppose it's not that surprising. Naruto thought as he continued to walk. Pikachu lived in forests for its whole life. It probably tree jumped as a form of transportation from time to time. And after it saw how to tree jump from me, it was probably able to figure out a way to increase its speed. As Naruto approached the camp he saw a broken tree branch and Pidgey lying in a small trench it probably carved with its face. Pikachu was sitting right by Pidgey, doing what Naruto assumed was an extremely high-pitched laugh. Naruto simply shook his head and began cooking their dinner. After waking the passed-out Pidgey with some smelling salts, Naruto and his 2 Pokemon ate their dinner and turned in for the night. For the next 2 days they continued their training schedule without incident and they all continued to grow by leaps and bounds. But, in the middle of the lunch break on the 4th day of their training, Naruto sensed a presence in a nearby bush. Taking a quick glace at his Pokemon, Naruto felt a bit of pride well up in his chest when he saw that they too were able to notice the intruder. Pidgey was the first to react by taking off full speed at the bush. Pidgey was soon flanked by Pikachu, who was prepared to support Pidgey if need be. Pidgey began to slow down and hover over the bush preparing to strike. But, before Pidgey could execute any kind of attack, it had to fly higher to avoid a green blur that jumped out from the branch. After the blur missed Pidgey it redirected itself by jumping of a tree and descending on Pikachu. Pikachu responded to the treat by performing a front flip mid-run and using the small bit of aura control, it had to strengthen its tail. Pikachu's tail took on a dim white glow as the aura began to take effect but the green blur was not deterred. Pikachu's tail met the green blur in midair, causing a loud chink sound to reverberate through the previously peaceful forest. The power of the blow sent Pikachu plummeting back towards the ground. The green blur was sent flying towards the forest canopy until its movement was suddenly redirected towards the ground, courtesy of rush of wind created by Pidgey. The green blur was sent careening towards the forest floor so fast that it caught up with Pikachu before their impact. Seeing the opportunity Pikachu concentrated as much aura as it could into its tail and slammed it into the middle of the blur. Another shrill chink rang through the forest when Pikachu's tail met the object. The two fought for dominance as they continued their descent. But, having hide over the green blur, Pikachu used its weight to its advantage and shifted its weight backwards. This action caused the force of Pikachu's tail to change from going straight down to pushing down and forward. The green blur was sent flying into the ground where it bounced multiple times before it came to a sudden halt when it hit a tree. Pikachu continued to lean backwards and performed a neat backflip, landing on the ground with a loud thump. Once it landed Pikachu turned its attention to where it saw the green object land or crash. Pikachu was soon joined by Pidgey in staring at strange object that was currently laying motionlessly against the tree it collided with. It didn't take much observation on their part to realize what it was. After all the 2 long blade-like hands gave its identity away almost immediately. It was a Scyther. Pikachu cautiously approached the downed Pokemon while Pidgey once again took to the skies. As Pikachu slowly approached the Scyther it prepared its body for what it knew would come. Meanwhile, just outside the clearing, Naruto watched the interaction between his Pokemon and the Scyther from his perch on a tree branch. They seemed to be taking the surprise quite well. Even under pressure they were able to counter the Scyther with an impressive combo. Naruto mused as he began to lean against the thick trunk of the oak tree. I think I'll let them work this one out by themselves. I doubt they will need me to intervene, especially since it is 2 against 1. Also we need to get to know each other much better than we do now before they will be able to adequately follow orders. Pikachu was now only 5 feet away from the downed Scyther. Pikachu knew that the Scyther was only faking its unconscious state. So with the support of Pidgey, Pikachu took the offensive and sprinted full speed at Scyther. Once it came within 3 feet from Scyther, Pikachu did 2 front flips and swung its tail at the Scyther. The Scyther rolled to the side of Pikachu's attack and was about to slice Pikachu's side while Pikachu was in midair, but the Scyther was blindsided by a gust of wind. As the Scyther was hit by Pidgey's attack, Pikachu took the time to land feet first on the trunk of the tree Scyther was once leaning on. Pikachu used its new foothold to launch itself toward the Scyther. The Scyther saw Pikachu's approaching form, but it was unable to move with the force of Pidgey's wind, pining it face first into the ground. Acting fast the Scyther began to beat its wings at an incredibly high speed, nullifying the effect of Pidgey's attack and lifting its body just above Pikachu's flying form. When Pikachu came just under the Scyther proceeded to jump off of Pikachu's back to gain altitude. Pikachu was able to put its tail in between its back and the Scyther's feet, but it was still propelled face first into the ground. Pidgey saw the whole exchange and flung itself full speed at Scyther's mid-air form. Scyther reacted by twisting its body just enough so that instead of getting hit by the brunt of the attack, Pidgey only skimmed its side. The Scyther landed gracefully on its feet and immediately took off towards Pikachu's downed form. The Scyther swung its right blade toward Pikachu, but Pikachu was able to roll away from the attack before it connected. Pikachu used the momentum from its roll to spin onto its feet and use its tail to sweep the Scyther's legs out from under it. The Scyther responded by sticking its left blade into the ground and bringing its body at a perfect right angle to its left blade. In this position the Scyther swung its body 180 degrees in a devastating kick. Pikachu ducked under the kick, but it was hit on the side of the face by the flat part of the Scyther's right blade. Pikachu's body was sent skidding across the ground for about 10 feet. The Scyther pushed its body into the air with its left blade and was about to land on its feet, but it was hit in the side by Pidgey's beak. The Scyther stayed connected with Pidgey's beak as Pidgey flew parallel to the ground. Pidgey came to a sudden halt that propelled the Scyther at an even faster pace and disconnection it from Pidgey's beak. The Scyther began to lose altitude without Pidgey to keep it in the air, and as a result its feet hit the ground, causing the Scyther to perform a multitude of barrel rolls. The Scyther tried to use its wings to gain control of its body, but to no avail. Just as the Scyther began to slow down, Pikachu put itself in the Scyther's path. Using its tail as a makeshift bat, Pikachu sent as much aura as its horrible aura control would allow and slammed its tail into the Scyther's spinning form. Pikachu's tail connected with the Scyther's side, causing the Scyther to stop spinning and go flying in the opposite direction as before, towards the forest canopy. Once the Scyther regained its bearings it opened its wings and was about to use them to gain control of its body, but it never got the chance. Pidgey jumped from its hiding place in the canopy and was right en route to intercept the flying Scyther. Pidgey channeled aura into its wings and released a powerful gust of wind that hit the Scyther dead on, sending it careening towards the ground. With its wings adding to its body's overall surface area, the Scyther flew even faster towards the ground below. The resulting collision between the Scyther and the ground created a crater that had a radius of 5 feet and was 2 feet deep. The collision also produced a thick dust cloud that obscured visibility of the crater. Suddenly a blast of power came from the center of the dust cloud. The blast caused Naruto's eyes to widen, if just a little bit. As I thought Pokemon do have a natural awareness of aura. Naruto mused as he continued to look into the dust-covered battlefield. Pikachu and Pidgey both felt the power and steeled themselves for whatever was to come. But as soon as the dust cleared and they looked into the crater, they were met with nothing. They both only had enough time to blink before the Scyther appeared to the side of Pidgey. The Scyther slammed its foot into the side of Pidgey's head, sending it flying into Pikachu's chest. This caused both Pokemon to tumble in backwards. Capitalizing on the situation, the Scyther appeared behind the two Pokemon, who had yet to stop their backwards advance. The Scyther opened its wings and seemed to focus for a bit as thin blue mist formed around its feet. When Pikachu and Pidgey were only 3 feet away from the Scyther began to beat its wings at an extremely rapid pace. This resulted in a strong wind that shot Pikachu and Pidgey straight forward, leaving multiple shallow cuts along their bodies. Naruto was quite surprised at the Scyther's display of aura control. Not only does that Scyther have greater aura and element control than me, but it also is able to incorporate the two together in one attack. Naruto thought as he shifted his position on the tree branch. This only supports my assumption about Pokemon's natural control of elements and aura. Back on the battlefield, Pikachu and Pidgey finally came to a halt when they both collided with an unsuspecting oak tree. Shifting slowly, Pikachu was the first to remove itself from the unconsciousness that overtook its body sometime while it was flying. Pikachu looked to its side and saw Pidgey was just now beginning to regain consciousness. Pikachu shifted its gaze forward and it saw the Scyther staring at them unmoving, seemingly too honorable to attack a downed opponent. Pikachu and Pidgey slowly climbed to their feet. Once they were back on their feet, Pikachu and Pidgey glanced at each other and made a series of noises that Naruto assumed was their language. As soon as they stopped making the foreign noises, electricity began to explode from Pikachu's cheeks and wrap around its body. Once this happened, Pikachu shot forward towards Scyther, while Pidgey took to the skies once more. The Scyther took Pikachu's assault with a minimal amount of surprise and it dashed towards Pikachu. The gap between the two Pokemon closed rapidly as the two Pokemon dashed towards each other. When the two Pokemon meet each other, Pikachu's tail turned a dim white color as it clashed with the Scyther's right blade. The aura around Pikachu's tail prevented it from getting cut by the Scyther's blade as the two Pokemon fought for dominance. Pikachu seemed to have the advantage, but suddenly the Scyther's aura-infused left blade shot towards Pikachu's tail. Pikachu reacted quickly by pushing its tail off of the Scyther's tail. This in turn propelled Pikachu into the air away from Scyther. But before Pikachu could get completely out of the Scyther's range, the aura in the Scyther's left blade cancelled out the aura Pikachu used in its tail. Because of this, the Scyther's left blade was able to leave a shallow cut along the side of Pikachu's tail. Unfazed by the cut, Pikachu landed on all fours and took off towards the Scyther that was stumbling from the lose of force against its blade. Pikachu's tail crackled with electricity as it shoved it into the Scyther's gut. The Scyther bent forward from the force of the blow, and Pikachu capitalized on its position by removing its tail from the Scyther's gut and instead slamming it in the back of the Scyther's head. Pikachu's attack propelled the Scyther's face toward the ground. The Scyther took the attack in stride and used the momentum to perform a forward somersault towards Pikachu. Jumping out of the somersault, the Scyther thrust its foot towards Pikachu, who ducked under it. The Scyther with his back to Pikachu and performed a roundhouse kick aimed at Pikachu's head. Pikachu back flipped away from the kick, but not before it released a large amount of electricity from its body. The electricity jumped across the Scyther's skin and momentarily blinded it. Before it could regain its vision, the Scyther felt a sharp pain in its side. Soon after, the Scyther felt a similar pain appear along its back. Squinting its eyes, the Scyther was able to make out a blurry brown form that had dim white thing protruding from its eyes. The Scyther tried to dodge the form, but one of the dim white forms were able to skim its eye, producing the same pain as before. After getting hit once more, the Scyther was able to regain most of its vision. The Scyther looked down towards where it had gotten hit by the brown figure, and to its surprise, it found a multitude of cuts along its body where the white forms connected. The Scyther looked back towards the brown form and saw that it was actually just Pidgey with glowing white wings. Realizing that Pidgey was using the same technique as Pikachu, the Scyther channeled as much aura as it could into its blades, causing them to glow a slightly brighter white than Pidgey's wings. When Pidgey came towards the Scyther for another attack, the Scyther beat its wings and lifted itself above Pidgey. As Pidgey flew under it, the Scyther dragged its blades along both of Pidgey's wings, causing the wings to lose their white glow and cuts to form along Pidgey's wings. Pidgey gave what looked like the equivalent of a grimace as its own blood trailed down its wings and onto the ground below. Pidgey gave a cry of exertion as it forced itself to fly higher, knowing it needed to finish its job. At the peak of its flight, Pidgey looked down towards the Scyther and saw that it was back on the ground and it was looking for Pikachu. Pidgey channeled aura towards its wings and began to flap them vigorously, kicking up a strong wind that was sent straight towards the Scyther. Sensing the use of aura, the Scyther looked up towards Pidgey and felt the strong winds produced by its attack begin to lick its skin. The Scyther was about to jump, but then it heard a strange sound form from under its feet. Taking a quick glance down, the Scyther saw that a hole had formed under its feet. The Scyther opened its wings and beat them rapidly, trying to stop Pidgey's strong winds from pushing it down into the hole, but it was all in vain. The Scyther was losing altitude fast and it knew its wings wouldn't fit into the small hole underneath it. To prevent from losing its wings, the Scyther closed its wings and was pushed into the hole by the winds. Looking down towards the bottom of the tunnel, the Scyther saw a bright yellow light begin to come towards it. Above the hole, the Scyther fell in just moments before Pidgey had landed back on the ground and it was struggling to stay conscious. Naruto jumped from his perch in the trees and rushed to Pidgey's aid. As soon as Naruto removed a potion and a bandage from one of his scrolls, a bright yellow column of electricity exploded up from the hole in front of him and Pidgey. The column of electricity lasted for about 10 seconds before it dissipated, depositing an unconscious Scyther on the rim of the hole, with small sparks of electricity occasionally jumping across its skin. Naruto treated Pidgey's wounds and sprinted toward the hole. When Naruto got there, he looked down into the hole and he saw Pikachu struggling to climb up the vertical wall of the tunnel. After helping Pikachu out of the hole, Pikachu instantly fell unconscious once Naruto picked it up. Naruto treated Pikachu's wounds and then did the same to the Scyther. This Scyther was able to mold and channel its aura as good or maybe even better than me. It might be able to speed up Pikachu and Pidgey's training and aura control if they are ever able to get acquainted with one another, and I'm sure it will flourish under my training regime. Naruto thought as he removed a Pokeball from somewhere inside his cloak. Naruto threw his Pokeball at the Scyther and watched as its form broke down into small red particles of energy that were absorbed into the ball. The Pokeball wobbled once, but then it made a noise and the center of the Pokeball changed from red to white. "Welcome to the team," Naruto muttered to the Pokeball as he put it back in his cloak and carried Pidgey and Pikachu back to the camp. The next 4 days of training went smoothly for Naruto and his Pokemon. Naruto's theories about adding Scyther to his team were also proven correct. It only took the first day of training for Scyther to become friends with Pidgey and Pikachu. Naruto just figured that most Pokemon were friendly by nature after seeing how quickly became friend with Pikachu. Well, that or Pikachu was just good at making friends. Either way, Scyther began to give Pikachu and Pidgey pointers on their aura control, and Scyther even went as far as to begin to teach Pidgey how to create blades with wind. Scyther was also improving by leaps and bounds under their training schedule. Scyther picked up on the concepts and exercise Naruto taught with relative ease. The next day, Naruto packed up his camp and called Pidgey and Scyther back to their Pokeballs. Naruto would have called back Pikachu, but it insisted on walking with him. Seeing no harm in leaving Pikachu out of its Pokeball, Naruto began to walk towards the exit of the Viridian Forest with Pikachu right at his side. Last time on the Rise of Chaos. Naruto, Pikachu, and Pidgey trained undisturbed for 3 days in Viridian Forest. After lunch on the 4th day of training, a Scyther confronted the group. Through the combined efforts of Pikachu and Pidgey, the Scyther was defeated and added to their team. For the next 3 days Naruto, Pikachu, Pidgey, and Scyther continued following the training schedule. Finally, after a week total of training in Viridian Forest, Naruto packed up camp. With Pikachu by his side, Naruto set out for Pewter City. Naruto took a deep breath as he cleared the last row of trees in Viridian Forest. Naruto found himself at the top of a large hill, with a trail leading down the side of it towards a small city. The city was a small one, and the houses mostly consisted of stone. The only wooden structure Naruto was able to locate was a small mill in the center of the city. Pikachu fidgeted in excitement while it thought of the things that it knew would soon follow their arrival in the town. So, this is Pewter City. Naruto mused as a slight upward turn formed under his mask. This place is supposed to have a gym. That will be my first step in entrancing the Pokemon League. After all, if I am to fight this war, I am going to have to find the best this world has to offer. With that in mind, Naruto and Pikachu began to walk down the trail towards the entrance of Pewter City. Naruto and Pikachu just left the Pokemon Center and they were currently on their way to the designated battle area in the city. This was because Naruto wanted to let his Pokemon experience at least one real battle before he put them up against a gym leader. Naruto entered the town square where the Pokemon battles were to be held. Leaned against a nearby light pole and waited with Pikachu by his side. Naruto didn't have to wait long as he was soon approached by a rather short boy. The boy's most notable feature was the cheap samurai costume he clothed himself in. "You look like a worthy opponent," the boy said as he came to a stop in front of Naruto. "I, samurai, challenge you to a Pokemon battle." "I accept," Naruto said, not at all deterred by Samurai's bluntness. "Perfect, let us find a suitable spot to battle," Samurai said while he began to walk across the square. Naruto shrugged and followed Samurai, catching small glimpses of battles that left him very unimpressed. Naruto and Samurai found a peaceful spot near the center of the square to begin their battle. "What are the rules?" Naruto inquired as he and Samurai got situated. "What about a 3-on-3 battle?" Samurai asked after a minute of thought. "Acceptable," Naruto said simply. "Are we allowed to switch Pokemon during the battle?" Samurai seemed to be taken back by the question and had to think Naruto's question over a few more times before he could respond. This caused Naruto to wonder how well Samurai thought the battle over before he initiated the challenge. After all, it is customary for the challenger to place the rules, with the exception of gym battles of course. Naruto's musings were cut short, however, when Samurai finally spoke. "No, you can only switch Pokemon once one Pokemon is defeated," Samurai answered as he withdrew a Pokeball from his belt. "Okay," Naruto said as he drew a Pokeball from his cloak. "I choose you, Pinsir," Samurai exclaimed as he threw his Pokeball onto the battlefield. "Scyther assistance is required," Naruto said as he mimicked Samurai's action. 2 beams of red energy rushed out of the Pokeballs as they opened, and in an instant both Scyther and Pinsir were standing in front of their respective trainers. "I'll start," Samurai exclaimed as excitement flooded his veins. Pinsir attacked Scyther with headbutt. Following the order, Pinsir charged headfirst at Scyther. "Deflect Pinsir's horns with your blade and counter with a sweeping kick," Naruto ordered in his usual emotionless voice. Scyther wasted no time and it swiftly deflected Pinsir's horns to the right of its body. Immediately after, Scyther dropped into a crouch and spun in a full 360 while sticking its leg out. The kick connected perfectly and Pinsir was sent sprawling onto its back. "Follow up with the axe kick," Naruto ordered. Scyther took to the air and performed a flawless front flip before falling back down to the ground, heel first. Pinsir responded by quickly rolling out of the way of Scyther's attack and back onto its feet. Once Scyther's foot connected with the white tiles of the town square, the sound of shattering clay was quick to follow. Pinsir flinched after witnessing the power of the kick and that was just what Naruto needed. "Scyther headbutt Pinsir and flow into a backflip," Naruto ordered. Scyther quickly got into a crouch with his right foot forward and used its back foot to propel itself toward Pinsir. Pinsir saw Scyther coming and quickly crossed its arms in front of itself in defense. Scyther responded by ducking below Pinsir's defense and slamming its head into Pinsir's gut. Pinsir doubled over in pain and immediately received a strong kick to the face as a result of Scyther's backflip. The kick launched Pinsir into the air as Scyther landed its backflip. "Follow up with Razor Wind," Naruto ordered. Scyther wasted no time in opening its wings and giving chase to the still flying Pinsir. Scyther was able to overtake Pinsir at the peak of its flight and turn around to face its very little warning. Scyther gathered aura into its wings and flapped them intensely, producing strong winds with thin wind blades hidden inside. The attack hit Pinsir square in the back and it was sent corning towards the tiles of the town square. Pinsir met the tile with ground-shattering force, causing any tile near it to shatter completely or, at the very least, be displaced. Samurai stared on in shock, attempting to register what had just happened. Samurai looked on as Pinsir struggled to stand up inside of a crater it made with its own body. Pinsir's body was covered with shallow cuts and bruises. Samurai's gaze traveled past Pinsir towards Sithir, who was just now beginning to descend from its flight. Samurai watched as Sithir landed soundlessly on the tile of the town square and a wave of defiance washed over him. The warm-up's over, Naruto, now the real fight begins. Samurai yelled with determination present in his voice. Pinsir, let's show them what you can do. Use vice grip. With a rush of energy fueling its muscles, Pinsir dashed at Sithir in an impressive show of speed. Reacting quickly, Sithir parried Pinsir's horns to its right, but Pinsir was still able to ram its fist into Sithir's gut. Sithir recoiled, just long enough for Pinsir to twist its body to the right. Using the momentum it had gained from the way Sithir parried its horns, Pinsir was able to turn its body in a full 360 and slam the side of its right horn into the left portion of Sithir's ribcage. The hit caused Sithir to fly to the right and skip across the ground, shattering any tile near the places where Sithir's body meet the ground. After its fourth bounce, Sithir was able to roll its body in midair and stick one of its blades into the ground. Sithir managed to land on its feet, but the momentum it carried still caused it to slide 15 feet away from the point it landed. This action caused many tiles to be dislodged and a trench to be left in Sithir's wake. Sithir, use rapid impact. Naruto ordered as he watched Sithir stand up from its previously crouched position. Leaning over slightly, Sithir closed its eyes and began to concentrate. Samurai looked at Sithir in wonder after hearing the unfamiliar attack. Samurai watched in wonder as a faint light blue glow enveloped Sithir's feet. Even though Samurai had never heard of any attack called rapid impact, he did realize that it was still an attack and it would probably hurt Pinsir if it ever connected. So he decided the best way to counter Sithir's attack was to go on the offensive. Pinsir, close in on Sithir before it can complete its attack. Samurai ordered. Pinsir started to close the distance between it and Sithir, but before it could even get halfway, Sithir had already begun. Its only thing Pinsir registered was a flicker of movement and a stinging sensation in its eye. Pinsir looked down just in time to see a shallow cut appear on its eye. The sensation began to increase as more cuts started to appear all over Pinsir's body. Samurai endlessly searched his thoughts to find a solution to counter Sithir, but he came up with nothing every time. He looked on in worry as flickers of green appeared from seemingly nowhere and disappeared just as fast. Pinsir looked around frantically trying to spot anything that would hint at the location of Sithir, and that is when Samurai got an idea. Pinsir, spin your head around and try to hit Sithir with your horns. Samurai ordered. Pinsir quickly followed the order by pointing its horns parallel to the ground and spinning as fast as it could. The move seemed to work because cuts stopped appearing on Pinsir's body, but soon a flicker of green appeared above Pinsir. Sithir materialized from the flicker and was soon falling towards Pinsir's body at a rapid rate, with its blades poised to strike. Pinsir, above you. Samurai screamed in warning. Pinsir stopped spinning so it could lift its head up to see what Samurai was talking about. When Pinsir lifted its head up, its horn slammed into Sithir's side hard enough to send it flying 10 yards away. Sithir shook of the hit in midair and performed a backflip to regain its footing on the ground. As soon as Sithir's feet meet the ground, it began to sprint towards Pinsir at its regular pace. Pinsir saw Sithir charging and it began to run towards Sithir in hopes of spearing Sithir with its horns. When the distance between the two Pokemon was halved, Naruto decided to speak. Sithir, use Razor Wind. Naruto ordered. Following the order, Sithir opened its wings and began to flap them at a rapid pace. This caused Sithir's speed to increase notably and its body to hover an inch off the ground. A thin blue fog also began to form around Sithir's wings, gradually getting thicker as Sithir came closer and closer to Pinsir. Time seemed to slow as the two fighters finally meet each other. Pinsir thrust its head forward, aiming for Sithir's gut. Sithir spun its body as it shifted to the right. This movement caused Pinsir's horns to graze the Sithir's side, but Sithir was left unfazed. Completing its spin, Sithir was able to use the momentum it gained to slash its right blade into Pinsir's shoulder. As soon as Sithir's blade was firmly in Pinsir's shoulder, a strong wind, carrying numerous wind blades, exploded from Sithir's wings. The wind hit Pinsir at point-blank range, and with Sithir's blade holding it to the ground, Pinsir's body took the full force of the attack. Pinsir was unconscious before it even left the ground. Eventually Sithir lost its grip on Pinsir's shoulder and was forced to pull back its arm that was now riddled with plenty of shallow cuts due to its own attack. As soon as Sithir drew back its arm, there was nothing left holding Pinsir to the ground and its body was in the air in an instant. Pinsir's body flew 30 yards before it finally met the tiled floor of the town square. The tile instantly shattered when Pinsir's body came in contact with it and Pinsir's body was once again sent into the air. Pinsir bounced 7 more times before it finally came to a stop 50 yards away from where it had met with Scyther. Samurai stared at Pinsir, slightly dumbfounded before he finally recalled Pinsir to its Pokeball. Samurai looked back at Naruto, who had just finished recalling Scyther into its Pokeball. I will admit that you and your Pokemon have skills, but don't think you have won yet. This battle is just getting started. Pars, I choose you. Samurai yelled as he threw his Pokeball. Naruto released an almost inaudible sigh when he realized the small crowd that was beginning to form around their battle. He couldn't really blame them though, because after seeing multiple battles that consisted of two Rattatas exchanging tackles, this battle must arouse some sort of attention. Pidgey, your assistance is required. Naruto said as he broke himself from his thoughts and threw his Pokeball onto the battlefield. As soon as the two Pokemon were released from their Pokeball, the battle began. Ares, let's get this battle started with Stun Spore. Samurai ordered. Ares began to shake his body repeatedly and the two small mushroom on its back started to produce a thick yellow cloud of small particles. Pidgey, use Hurricane Wing. Naruto ordered. Pidgey quickly complied and a dim white glow soon enveloped its wings. Pidgey began to flap its wings at a fast pace. This action produced a strong wind current that hit Paras' Stun Spore and carried it straight back to Paras. Having no time to react, Paras inhaled the Stun Spore. Paras instinctively jumped out of the yellow cloud, but while Paras was in midair, its muscles seized up. With no control of its body, Paras crashed into the ground in a heap. Pidgey, use Wing Attack to get Paras in the air, then follow up with Hurricane Wing. Naruto ordered. Pidgey wasted no time in closing the distance between it and Paras. As soon as Pidgey was 5 feet away from Paras, the dim white glow once again returned to its wings. Paras, get out of the way. Samurai yelled in panic. Paras made a desperate attempt to move, but all it managed to do was make one of its mushrooms twitch. Pidgey slammed its wing into Paras' face and shot Paras straight into the air with only a slight diagonal curve. As soon as Paras was in the air, Pidgey flew after it in pursuit, while once again channeling its aura into its wings. It didn't take very long for Pidgey to fly past Paras and get into position for its attack. Pidgey turned around to face the still flying Paras and began to once again flap its wings. A strong wind current once again returned and hit Paras square on. The direction Paras was moving in was almost instantly reversed and Paras was sent plummeting toward the tiled ground. Samurai looked on at worry as he watched Paras twitch in an attempt to regain control of its body. But it was all for naught as Paras smashed into the tile, which promptly shattered under the intense pressure and left a crater with a 5-foot radius in its wake. Paras' body was thrown around like a rag doll as it bounced along the tile, finally stopping in a crater previously left by Pinsir. Pidgey landed only a few feet away from Paras, panting slightly. All eyes were on Paras as its body broke out in a series of convulsions. Soon enough, with major difficulty, Paras was able to struggle onto its feet. A few people in the still growing crowd cheered at Paras' perseverance. We're not going down that easily. Samurai yelled at Naruto with newfound confidence. Paras, attack Pidgey with your claws. Paras staggered out of the crater it was in and began to run towards Pidgey, who had already started to flap its wings. But Pidgey was only able to get a foot off the ground before it stopped flapping its wings and fell back to the tile, wincing in pain. What? Naruto thought as his eyes widened a fraction. Recent memories flashed through his head as he tried to figure out what happened to Pidgey. It can't be exhaustion, its wings stopped too fast to be a muscle cramp. Naruto stopped his trail of thought when a certain memory caught his attention. Flashback. Paras, get out of the way. Samurai yelled in panic. Paras made a desperate attempt to move, but all it managed to do was make one of its mushrooms twitch. Flashback end. Paras must have been able to release a few spores from its mushroom right before Pidgey hit Paras with its wing attack. Naruto concluded as he watched Paras begin to attack Pidgey. As Paras continued to slash the still paralyzed Pidgey with its small claws, Naruto tried to come up with a plan to get out of the situation. 5 seconds later, Pidgey's muscles relaxed and it only took a few more seconds for Naruto to find an opening. Pidgey use sand attack and follow up with a series of wing attacks. Naruto ordered. Naruto knew the plan was a simple one and that it wouldn't be overly devastating, but he figured anything more would be severe overkill. After all, he knew that Pidgey would want to vent some of its anger out on Paras for its continued assault. Pidgey responded quickly to Naruto's orders and swept some dirt from a nearby crater into Paras' face with its wing. The sand easily got past the arm Paras used as a hasty defense and traveled straight into Paras' eyes. Paras recoiled a bit from the sudden stinging sensation in its eyes and brought its claws up to rub away the sand. Pidgey was quick to act on the opening and in only a few seconds Pidgey's wings once again released a dim white glow. Before Paras could finish removing the sand from its eyes, Pidgey slammed its right wing into Paras' chin. But before Paras could get any higher than a foot off the ground, Pidgey's left wing collided with the back of its head. This caused Paras to crash face first into the tile, shattering it on impact. Everyone in the vicinity stared at the unconscious Paras with a variety of emotions. Naruto's emotions were unreadable to even some of the most well-trained eyes, but if you looked deep enough you could see a lingering sense of pride behind the thick layer of impassiveness. On the other hand, Samurai's emotions were wide open for all to see, and they represented a mix of astonishment, embarrassment, and worry all at the same time. Most of Samurai's emotions were shared by the small audience that formed during their match, but some young trainers in the audience felt jealousy towards Naruto. No one spoke a word after Para's defeat, and the wind gusts that were a cause of Pidgey's previous attacks was the only sound that could be heard in the town square. This small fact also made Naruto realize that no one but him and Samurai were having a Pokemon battle in the town square. "Don't think you've won yet," Samurai said with all the confidence he could muster as he recalled Para's back into its Pokeball. Samurai's sudden exclamation broke the deafening silence that had settled upon the town square. It also succeeded in breaking everyone out of their personal musings. Everyone turned their attention to Naruto to hear his response, which was to simply recall Pidgey to its Pokeball and draw another Pokeball from somewhere inside his cloak. The silent treatment again. Samurai mumbled as he withdrew his own Pokeball. "I should have known after all you haven't been much of a talker." Still reviving only a blank stare from Naruto, Samurai decided to move on. "Well, no matter, silence won't save you from my secret weapon," Samurai exclaimed, pausing for dramatic effect as he got ready to throw his Pokeball. "Feast your eyes on my strongest Pokemon." One Samurai finished his sentence, his Pokeball flew from his hand. Everyone watched intently as the Pokeball opened and the red energy began to take shape. It seemed like it took an eternity for the red energy to recede, but in truth it only took about 5 seconds. Everyone held their breath as they watched the red energy recede to reveal Butterfree. The tension that was once thick in the air instantly disappeared. A few snickers echoed throughout the town square as more than a few people in the audience failed to hold in the emotion that everyone was sharing. "Shut up," Samurai yelled as his whole face turned a bright shade of red. "Pikachu, your assistance is required," Naruto said as he threw his Pokeball, completely ignoring the humorous scene that was unfolding. Silently thanking Naruto for the change of subject, Samurai once again took initiative and made the first move. "Butterfree, let's kick this battle off with a gust," Samurai ordered. Butterfree wasted no time in following Samurai's order and began to flap its wings. Soon enough a strong wind current was produced, heading straight for Pikachu. "Pikachu, use quick attack and follow up with Iron Tail," Naruto ordered. Pikachu dashed to the right of the wind gust in an impressive show of speed. Not slowing down, Pikachu ran towards Butterfree as a dim white glow spread across its tail. "Butterfree, use confusion," Samurai ordered. Pikachu jumped towards Butterfree, but a pink glow enveloped its entire body and its movement come to a sudden halt. Naruto, realizing where the attack was heading, came up with a quick plan. "Pikachu, use Thunderbolt," Naruto ordered. Sparks flew across Pikachu's fur as a trail of electricity left its body, heading straight for Butterfree. "Butterfree, stop the Thunderbolt with confusion," Samurai ordered. Butterfree broke its focus on Pikachu to concentrate on the Thunderbolt. As soon as Butterfree lost focus, the pink glow left Pikachu's body, allowing it to land back on the tile. But, right before the Thunderbolt made contact with Butterfree, the pink glow formed around the electricity, causing it to stop in its tracks. Butterfree used its newfound control of the electricity to shape it into a large sphere that it promptly sent hurtling towards Pikachu. "Pikachu, counter it with your Thunderbolt and follow up with quick attack," Naruto ordered. Sparks once again arced over Pikachu's fur as another trail of electricity was discharged from its body. Both of the electric attacks met in midair, exploding in a brilliant shower of sparks. The sparks short-circuit all the nearby lamps, making the light of the moon the only thing illuminating the battlefield. Pikachu wasted no time in sprinting towards Butterfree's position. Right when Pikachu was almost under Butterfree, it jumped, aiming to tackle Butterfree. "Butterfree, dodge then counter with Gust," Samurai ordered. Butterfree did a barrel roll to avoid Pikachu, and right after it turned to face Pikachu. Butterfree flapped its wings, creating another strong wind current that hit Pikachu while it was still in midair. The winds forced Pikachu to plummet towards the tile below at a rapid pace. Pikachu shifted its body in midair so that it would hit the ground tail first. Pikachu hit the ground with amazing force, shattering any tile nearby and creating a crater that had a 3-foot radius. When the dust obscuring Pikachu's form cleared and everyone was able to see Pikachu on its feet with a limp tail. Very clever. Pikachu channeled aura into its tail and used it to cushion its fall. Naruto thought as he tried to think of another plan. "Butterfree, use poison powder and follow up with Gust," Samurai ordered. The cloud of purple particles floated a few inches in front of Butterfree's body after they were excreted from the pores in its body. The purple cloud swirled slowly as Butterfree began to generate another wind current with its wings. The cloud swirled a bit more until it stretched out and became more condensed. The cloud took on a more elliptical form as it followed the invisible path that Butterfree's gust had forged. "Pikachu, get away from it," Naruto ordered with a hint of urgency in his voice. Pikachu immediately ran to the left of the makeshift poison bomb, trying to at least avoid the initial strike. The poison bomb collided with the ground while Pikachu was only an inch out of its range. But almost immediately after the collision the poison particles exploded outward, covering the ground of the battlefield in a thick purple mist. Pikachu was instantly covered by the poisonous mist and it didn't take long for it to breathe in the poison. "This is a problem," Naruto thought as he watched Pikachu begin to cough. "If I draw this battle out too long, Pikachu will succumb to the poison. I need to end this quickly." "Pikachu, use Iron Tail," Naruto ordered. Once Pikachu regained control of its breathing, its tail began to glow a dim white. Once the glow completely enveloped Pikachu's tail, Pikachu jumped straight up at Butterfree. "He walked right into my trap," Samurai yelled smugly at Naruto. Butterfree catch Pikachu with confusion and follow up with Stun Spore. Just as Pikachu swung its tail to hit Butterfree in the side, all its movement came to a complete halt as a familiar pink glow enveloped its body once more. Butterfree used its newfound control over Pikachu to make it float 2 feet in front of its body. Once Pikachu was in its desired position, a yellow cloud of particles began to form in front of Pikachu. "Pikachu, build up your aura," Naruto ordered. As soon as Pikachu heard the order, a light blue glow began to corrupt the pink glow that surrounded its body. "Aura, what is that?" Samurai was the first to voice the question that all present had in their mind. Naruto completely ignored Samurai's question and started to stare at the growing yellow cloud that was floating in front of Butterfree with great intensity. Eventually Samurai gave up in trying to get an answer from Naruto and opted to give Butterfree the order that would give him the first win of the match. "Silence won't save you from losing this match, Naruto," Samurai said as a smirk made its way onto his face. "Butterfree, bring Pikachu into the Stun Spore, then drop it into the poison." Naruto watched as Pikachu gradually came closer to the yellow and a half feet. 1 foot. 6 inches. 5. 4. 3. 2. 1. "Now. Pikachu, expel all your aura," Naruto ordered. Time seemed to slow as the light blue glow that was once tightly packed around Pikachu's body completely overcame Butterfree's confusion and pulsed outwards. The pulse sent the Stun Spore straight into Butterfree and knocked Butterfree out of the sky. The pulse also pushed the purple mist out from under Pikachu, giving it a clear spot to land. The pulse also sent the crowd reeling back from the shockwave and put Samurai on his butt. The crash of Butterfree slamming into the tiles covering the ground seemed to be the signal for time to resume its normal flow. Butterfree's body convulsed on the ground as the Stun Spore caused its muscles to become unresponsive. It only took about a minute for Butterfree to fall to unconsciousness while its body twitched on the ground. No one moved from their spot until the sound of a Pokeball opening broke them from their stupor. "I suppose that declares me the winner," Naruto said as he put away his Pokeball. Samurai stared wordlessly at Naruto, disappointment showing clearly in his eyes. "It was a good battle, you have nothing to be ashamed of," Naruto said as he walked over to Samurai and offered his hand to help him up. Samurai gladly accepted the hand and looked at Butterfree worry. Samurai recalled Butterfree back into its Pokeball and finally spoke. "Thanks, Naruto, I needed that," Samurai said in a somber tone. He looked back to where Naruto was standing to continue, but when he fully tuned around, Naruto was gone. What if Naruto X Serena Pokemon World end here, and thanks for watching my video till the end.